This one is for you today. It is Thursday, Vanderpump Rules Thursday, where we recap the misery that is Vanderpump Rules Season 11. Folks, how are we? Are we ready to dive into this? Now, I absolutely hated this episode, but I just rewatched it again, and there's a lot of fun things to talk about and not so fun things to talk about. So, that's how it seems to be my pattern for this season is I watch it once, I absolutely hate it. But this episode in particular was so weird. Why so many activities? We're like, why why don't we just do skydiving at a certain point? We went to Top Golf, we went to the beach, we did paintballing. Like what? Just sit around on the couch. We have enough to talk about. Like, I feel like this is distracting. I don't need to watch a paintball war. Like, what is this just a chance they were like, hey Tom, what kind of costumes do you have? Well, dude, I have a lot of paintball equipment. Okay, great. We'll do a paintball scene. Like, what are we doing? I'm not 5 years old. This isn't Recess. Let's get to the drama. We have enough drama. Oh boy, do we have enough drama, folks. How are you? How are you? Are you good? The week's almost over. So hopefully that is some solace whenever you're listening to this. Thank you for being here. You're much appreciated. This is our little group, our little gang. I feel like I need to say this at the beginning of every episode, but this is how me, singular, sees this show. This is how I view these characters. Now, I like pretty much I even like Lala. I think Lala is a great character. I disagree with so many of the moves Lala is making, but I like her. I'm sure I'm going to love her again in season 12 or season 13. Don't love her this season, but I don't dislike her overall. I love Scheana. Scheana I love, and I've said this so many times because I feel like this gets lost. I think Scheana is an essential reality show character, and we've now grown up with Scheana in so many ways. We've watched Scheana on this show for 11 seasons. I mean, Scheana to me is iconic. Scheana to me is Vanderpump Rules in so many ways. Whether you love her or whether you hate her, the only person I think I dislike with a passion that I have not been able to turn a corner on is Tom Sandoval. It's the only person. That is the only person on this show that I'm like, I can't foresee a future in when, unless he does some real soul searching. I hope there is a big ass long break before they pick up cameras again for season 12. And I hope everybody chills with their podcast for a minute. I said this on the Valley recap yesterday or 2 days ago. At a certain point, Bravo needs to rein in the podcasts. I feel like I'm an old man shouting at the sky. I appreciate it to a degree. I mean, I don't have time to listen to all of them. I always shout out Vanderpod Recaps. I think that's a great person that really puts in a lot of work on recapping these podcasts with kind of the essential information that you need as a Vanderpump head. I mean, we are Vanderpump historians at a certain point. So I think accounts like that are essential. So shout out to Vanderpod Recaps. But you gotta, like, unless Bravo, either start your own podcasting network and have it all under your umbrella so you can control the flow of information. But right now there is too much information. And I feel like we're already in season 12 because of all the podcasts, because of all of Lala. Lala is literally on this eternal press tour where I'm like, whatever happened at that reunion was so bad that Lala has now hit up every media interview that you can possibly think of. I mean, Entertainment Tonight, Access Hollywood, Jeff Lewis, Heather McDonald. I mean, everybody she is going on talking, as well as her own podcast. By the way, congratulations goes out to Lala on Amazon Live yesterday. She revealed the gender of her baby, a female. I told you guys it was a female a couple of days ago. That was actually just a guess. I do not want to get in trouble. There was no given information to me. I just guessed it was a female. Which amazing. Amazon Live. I hope that was a good paycheck. I'm sure it was. But I feel like, man, it's whatever happened in that reunion. I mean, she is out there hitting the press pavement. Like nobody else is hitting the pavement as hard as Lala is right now. And I'm so curious as to why. I'm so curious. We'll get into all of that throughout the course of this 8-hour podcast. I know these go long, people. I just got to get all this shit out from my brain and into a microphone so it gets out of my brain so I can prepare for episode 12 next week. But yeah, I think sometimes to the podcast, it really dilutes the actual story. I don't know if it really adds to it. I don't really, I don't think it complements it. I think it just adds a whole other layer that then the show has to then the next season figure out how they're going to deal with it. And I think sometimes it ruins the viewing experience because not everybody listens to the podcast. Not everybody reads the recaps. So I think the audience sometimes is left scratching their head, or really good things are happening on these podcasts. And I feel like they should be happening on the show. And that's, my loyalty is to the show at the end of the day. And you have it's out of control. I feel like Joe's gonna have a hairstyling well, maybe not a hairstyling podcast after this week. I heard from a lot of hairdresser friends that is not the proper way to dye somebody's hair. But I feel like Joe's gonna have a podcast. I feel like Tom's we met Tom's new assistant this week. Tom's new assistant looks like Tom potentially with a mustache. Tom was like, "That's a pretty cool looking assistant, dude. I gotta have him answer my emails." Yeah. All right, dude. You're invited to paintball. That's how cool why wasn't the old assistant Anne invited to paintballing and single night dating events? Come on. All of a sudden your assistant's out with you on the prowl. Like, hey, dude, give me a condom, dude, please. You're my assistant. Well, never mind. Anyways, so much to talk about. But I think the flow of information is so much. I don't mind it. I love information, but I just feel like it needs to be in one place. And I feel like sometimes, I think it bites the show in the ass sometimes when we immediately get to hear the reality of the situation, when I want the reality of the situation to be on the reality show. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that a big ask? Isn't to see the reality of the situation on the reality show and not have to wade through 18 cast podcasts to actually figure out what the hell is going on. Because listen, I think if anything, we know there is plenty to talk about. Because we have all of these podcasts, and I'll hear something, I'll be like, oh, why wasn't that a storyline? Or why didn't we focus on that? Or what, and the show can only do so much, but I do feel like at a certain point, there's got to be some sort of control over the flow of information. It is just wild. And then they'll hold back the cast from doing interviews on like shows like mine or other shows. And it's like, why? They're able to do their own show. Come on, let them, if they're willing to talk, let them talk to everybody. Oh gosh, grumpy already. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, I know my hair is wild today. Tomorrow, I'm trying to finish all this up and Friday's episode today because I'm getting LASIK. I'm going into Jeff Lewis to do Jeff Lewis's show tomorrow on Sirius. So tune in 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, channel 102, Radio Andy. I'm really excited about that. Kelly Ben-Simone is the guest before. And, but I'm going directly from that to get LASIK eye surgery. I'm really excited / scared. I'm a pussy, as you guys all know. So I hear it's going to be kind of blinding headaches for a little bit as your brain gets used to everything. And my brain is so set in stone right now. I'm so scared of it. So I'm trying to get all this shit done because I'm not going to be able to, I can podcast blind. I'm just worried about the headaches, But yeah, if you like this show, and why wouldn't you? Just a old man just yelling. Consider rating it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Shout out to YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Remember, the audio podcast usually has something a little bit more than I put on YouTube. So if you're looking for the full So Bad It's Good experience, please check us out on podcasting, the audio podcast. Also, I want to shout out Betches Media, who produces this show. They actually have this great, go to their website at betches.com. They have like this whole history of reality shows, all of these articles that were written that just came out this week by some of your favorite people like Gibson Johns and Dylan Hafer and all of these great writers. There's like a glossary of reality show terms. There's like character breakdowns. It's really, really cool. I was checking it out yesterday. So if you like that, and I think you would because you're all here, go check that out as well. Shout out to Betches. I know I'm forgetting like 30 billion things as I always do, but listen, we'll just take our time, right? We don't got anything to do. Oh yeah. So where I was earlier is listen, this is just how I see the show. and I usually tend to go on the things that I find humorous. We'll make maybe some points along the way or how I feel about things. You can have obviously your own complete way of thinking about the show. That's what makes these shows great. This is how I view the show. But like, I got this insane email, and you're probably listening because people that hate listen tend to like keep like, there's some of your most passionate listeners are the people that don't like you. I got like an off the rails email that was so, I was like praying to God this person was drinking because it would not make sense. A lot of, if it wasn't, I was like, oh shit, that's really scary. And now at this point, when I get scary emails, I just give them to my lawyer. I'm just like, just have this on file for if anything else happens. Because if you've been, now I have like there's like just a list of people where I'm like, okay, keep your eye on this one. Don't, guys, have whatever feelings you want to have, but also you're not listening to the show closely, because some of the things I'm just like, you're not listening. You truly are not listening. But also, if it angers you so much where you are writing an impassioned email, it maybe step back, as Sophie would say, touch some grass, go out, breathe the beautiful fresh air. I'm not doing that, but maybe go do that, because emails like that are scary. They're really scary, so much so that I have to alert people, and I don't. It's not fun. It's be as Countess Luann. Don't be cool. Be cool, please, everybody. Be cool. Also, I did some cameos recently. I want to give out a shout out to a couple of people I just did cameos for. This was great. I don't know if this person has been given it yet, so I don't want to ruin it yet. But Emily, shout out to Emily if you're listening. Emily is recovering from surgery, and her friend asked me to do it as Jax Taylor. So I put tape over my nose, like I had just gotten like a nose job, like Jax did. And I ripped off the tape in the cameo, and I didn't realize how much it was going to hurt. So, Emily, I hope you are recovering well. I really do. Also, happy birthday goes out to Alyssa. I hope you had a happy birthday. Let's see here. Who else do we got? We got Megan. Happy birthday to Megan as well. There's so many great, cool people out there. Let's see, who else? Happy birthday, Harper. Happy birthday, Megan. If it's your birthday out there, happy birthday to you. You don't need a cameo for me to tell you happy birthday, but it's always fun to do those cameos. So thank you for purchasing them for your loved ones. That's awesome. Really, really cool. Okay, so before we get into the Vanderpump insanity, I know we've already gotten insane in the first 15 minutes of the show. I did want to, listen, I talk about this a fair amount. I probably I talk about, grief in the last year, grief and dealing with grief. And so many people have reached out with books to read. People always recommend the podcast that Anderson Cooper did about grief. And I have not been able to touch that yet, because sometimes when you are going through something, it's really hard to, it's one of those things. It's like working out. It's like, you should do it, but sometimes, just the thought of doing it is really painful. So sometimes it's hard to read a bunch of things about grief or purposely sit down and listen to a podcast about grief. And I know I will be brave enough to hit all of those things at some point, but it's weird. But I was going around TikTok today because I'm a grown man and that's what we do. And I saw this thing, like I didn't search it out. It just came to me, which is what TikTok is great for. And I thought this made a lot of sense. So I wanted to play this at the top of the show because this made so much sense to me. And I get so many people that reach out to me when I talk about grief. And I just thought this made so much sense. So I wanted to share this just before we start any of the insanity, because no matter if we disagree today, is that we all can agree that we are humans going through this experience called life. And that no matter if we dislike each other, like each other, we will all deal with loss at some point. And it's one of those things that you shouldn't be ashamed of it. It is scary. Your mind and your body don't work in the ways that you want it to work. It doesn't go as quickly. You don't recover it from, it's not like a flu where you can get over it. And it's one of those things that you have to learn to live with. And that's a really hard thing to accept, especially if you want some sort of control over your life. You can't really control grief. But this is Mark Maron. Mark Maron was on Kelly Rizzo's podcast. And this was a clip from that I wanted to play for you guys. I know that's kind of weird before we start joking about Vanderpump Rules, but listen, this is this is a mashup of so many different things, this show. So here it is. This is Mark Maron on Grief, because Mark Maron, he got married to this girl. She was an amazing director, and the lady passed away a couple of years ago suddenly. And, Mark Maron had to deal with this grief. So this is him talking about that.
Initially, you realize that it is not manageable, that grief is not manageable. And it's okay. But for somebody who is, fairly, I'm not closed off. I mean, I'm pretty good with strangers in terms of having an open heart about stuff or being emotional or talking about it. But the visceral emotions of loss, immediate loss, are completely unmanageable.
Right.
And, you're going to be crying and you're not going to know when it's going to happen, and it's going to come in waves, or it's going to go on for a half hour. And then you're like, I'm okay. And you're talking to somebody about it, and then you're just fucking crying again. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. Nope. And I'm cynical in a certain way about, grief. It's painful, but it's very specific and very unique and nebulous. And it comes in waves, and it shocks you. And I had a dream 2 nights ago that I just was with Lynn, and I kissed her and I told her I loved her, and that was it. And it felt very real. So you have to look at these things as visitations and understand that no matter what your brain is doing, that, your heart, is sort of intact, and you can treat those things as nice, not as like, oh God, all right, so she visited. Okay.
I thought that was great. I really appreciated that. And I think sometimes we need to hear those things, and hopefully you heard that at the right moment for you, if you are going through something similar. But it's so true. It just hits you in the weirdest times. Like last Wednesday when I was at the Vegas hotel trying to do this Vanderpump recap, towards the end, I mean, if you listen to it, I just felt it, like it just a wash of grief, like washed over me. And I just was nonstop thinking about my mom and my grandma and my dog. And I was in a hole. And then it was miserable because I was having to talk about Vanderpump Rules. And I was like, no. And I was just like, I wanted to shut everything down and just lay there staring at the ceiling. And sometimes, and that's okay. That's okay. Or I'm telling myself that's okay. But that made so much sense to me. And I think we overuse the word grace, and especially on reality television, of you got to give yourself grace. Grace. Oh, I'm giving myself grace. And I'm always like, oh, just get back to work, pussy. Come on. You can do it. You're just talking to me but it's true. You got to be gentle with yourself. Or as Lala Kent, you've got to be soft. You got to show your softer side, the softer side of Lala Kent. I'm showing the softer side of Ryan Bailey. You've got to let those softer parts come out. And it is interesting, I have so many, I think watching reality television, we joke about it, but there are greater truths that are revealed. Like I've watched episodes of Vanderpump Rules, even this episode of Vanderpump Rules, that I related to in certain areas so hard. And that you're like, oh my God, this makes, you realize your own behavior in certain ways. And these shows can be really good for that. I mean, they're completely batshit crazy, and they can sometimes be a handbook on what not to do or what not to do in the future. But overall, these experiences, it just kind of like we're highlighting life. We're talking about this, and that not, that we all go through things, you can be a good person sometimes, you can be a bad person sometimes, you can hurt people sometimes, you can be hurt, you can go through grief, you can go through the happiest moments of your life. There is a 360 experience with life, that we are all not just one thing. Everybody except for Tom Sandoval. So I don't know. Those are just some thoughts that I had that I wanted to share with you at the beginning. And now let's get on with the insanity. Okay. And special shout out to Juliana Carraza. Carraza, as always, who takes these amazing notes. I also watch the Vanderpump Rules after show, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well, and probably some social media posts that I've seen. But thank you for being here. Strap in. Let's enjoy this ride together. Okay, Vanderpump Rules, season 11, episode 11. This is called May the Best Woman Win. Hey-oh, because Katie dives into the lady pond with a very, very, very young woman that Schwartz is going for as well. Oh my God, the cringe of that entire storyline. I am still like doing reverse cringing. I'm just like, oh God, it's too, no, make it stop, please. This is the breakdown the cable company gives us. Ariana finally breaks down over the end of her relationship with Sandoval. Is everybody happy? Ariana finally cried. Oh, all you people out there saying she's showing no emotion. She finally did. How will we find a new way to hate Ariana? Katie and Schwartz vie for the affections of the same woman. Woman? Let's call her a girl. My God, she's young. Sandoval and Schwartz attends a singles event, but things go awry when Joe sees Schwartz kissing another girl. Joseph, I'm Joseph. Pull my finger. Now, yeah, Joe, big episode for Joe. Big episode for Joe. Now, what is the over-under on if Joe is invited back next season? And we do know Joe shows up at the Vanderpump Rules reunion. She is there. She's already posted pictures with Andy, very excited about the whole experience. Yeah, your heart, you do feel a lot of empathy for Joe, right? And we'll get into that, obviously. We'll get into all of that. But yeah, it's a tough situation. Anyways, we go into the theme song. It's our time on the best days of our lives. Previously on Vanderpump Rules, and we have a scene with Schwartz and Joe, and Schwartz is like, everyone in my life, when I bring you around, they say, is that your, and Joe's like, and you say, oh, this is my sister. And Schwartz is like, in a different timeline, we could be living happily ever after, Joe. This is the breadcrumbing. This is like, Schwartz shouldn't say shit like that, because then here's the deal. Joe, like we said from the beginning of the season, like everybody speculated, Joe is madly in love with Schwartz. Joe also realizes that Schwartz is not madly in love with her, but Joe is placing all of her bets on that one day Schwartz will potentially feel that way that she feels about Schwartz, because they did genuinely probably have a good time. They probably did a lot of hallucinogens together and got wild and freaky and all of that stuff. Had a great time. And Joe, I can't speak, I don't know her past, but I will say probably Joe has always considered or been told that she is not everybody's cup of tea, that she's too wild and weird. And here comes Schwartz that is kind of like wild and weird too. And it's like, oh, maybe this is the person. Maybe this is perfect. And this is putting aside all the you lose them how you got them kind of things, and like the way Joe actually kind of injected herself into Schwartz's life, because Joe placed herself directly in Schwartz's life. That doesn't, make up for anything, that doesn't make excuses for anything that Schwartz did after that. The big shock of this episode was finding out in a talking head that Joe says that they were still hooking up. And that's like, no matter what Joe says of like, no, it's fine, it's totally cool, my feelings are in check, we're buddies, but let's still have, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't have been having sex with her still, dude. Like that, that just seems like an obvious thing. If you don't want her feelings, at a certain point, that should have been completely cut off, completely. So that was kind of a shocking thing to me, for her to say in that talking head that they had still been hooking up and that they exchanged I love yous. But in a different timeline, I could be married to Schwartz. Are you kidding me? And then we have that scene with Brock to Schwartz at Sir, like, we were partying the other night and Katie left with somebody in your friend group. Also, guys, people new to the show, I understand this is not Brock's actual accent. Somebody was like, you do a horrible Australian accent. And I'm like, she's like, you do it like an Irishman. I was like, yes, I do it as an Irish. I can barely do an Irish accent. Yes, I do know this is how Brock doesn't. This is just how my interpretation of Brock. That's it. There's no similarities at all. I understand this is not how Brock sounds, but in my mind, this is how Brock sounds. Anyways, we had that whole thing with Katie hooking up with Max Boyens, and I love the onus is on Katie. We need to get Max Boyens back on this show, and he can answer for his sins. At this point, Schwartz is closer to Max Boyens than he was closer to Katie. I feel like the main conversation we need to see is Schwartz talking to Max, but it's just two bros going like, I can't believe you did that, dude. Yeah, I can't believe I did it either. Okay, let's have a beer. That's how guy conversations go. But I love that it falls on Katie's shoulders. It's like it's Katie's fault that all of this happened. Anyways, we had that Schwartz to Katie going, Max is literally my best friend, and you fucked him. Oh, can I also, he fucked her. It wasn't like Katie just like jump, like a running jump on Max's dick. Like, Boyens, it's Katie coming in hot. Oh no, my pants are down. Help me. Oh, you landed right on my dick. Oh no. Well, no, dude, Max was gunning for this. I'm sorry. And Matt, go check out Max's OnlyFans. Max, do not trust your ladies around Max Boyens. Period. Period. End of story. But at the same time, let me in on you. Let me let you in on a secret. Schwartz doesn't care. Schwartz even says in this episode, he's like, I don't care. Like, if Katie wants to tell me about like guys she's hooking up with or girls, I'd be fine with that. He genuinely would. He genuinely would be totally okay with her. Like, he doesn't care in that sense. Then we have that scene with Ariana talking about Tom Sandoval going, he went into my room yesterday. He not only let Maya in there and then shut her in there. So she ate wooden skewers from chicken satay. And Lala's like, that's something that can literally kill a dog. And Ariana's like, yeah, literally kill her. But Lala, remember, Lala is just collecting information to use against Ariana in scenes later. Then we have Ariana at Beach Day, which is where we pick up this week's episode going, he's never going to be sorry or remorseful, you guys. You guys keep shoving him down my throat. And what do you think I'm going to do? You think I'm going to have the best beach day ever? What do you expect? And that was my whole thesis statement of last week's episode. You finally got it. Oh, she needs to do scenes with Tom Sandoval. Well, this is it. These are the scenes. You got her to cry. You got her in the scene. Like, this is what you get. You get anger. And let me remind people, this is 3.5 months after. 3.5 months after. This is not a year or two later. This is 3.5 months later. Like, think about it. You guys would not be nearly as composed as what we're seeing. Like, I'm sorry, like, it wouldn't happen. And the people that do it, like, God, you guys should write a book, the people that are just so emotionally well adjusted, where you would just be la-di-da about a beach day with your ex, after 3.5 months, after the reason why you guys split up was because of the artist formerly known as Raquel going behind your back for 7 months. I swear to God, it's like fucking QAnon with certain Vanderpump Rules fans. It's like you want to keep digging and digging, thinking there's some like overall conspiracy. Like, how many times do you have to hear it from how many different people? Like, it blows my mind, And at the end of the day, I think what it just is you just don't like Ariana. You never have. You don't like Katie. You never have. I mean, like, sometimes just say that. I do appreciate, and the people that do just say that. I'm like, oh, I've never liked her. Well, that makes sense. If you never liked her, you're probably not going to like her now. That makes sense. But to then throw all of these things, like, it's worse than pins and batteries. It's worse than it's like, oh, the pins and batteries she wasn't hopping on my dick at night after I stayed out until 3 a.m. Like, the people that then agree with that, it's just like, oh my God, the patriarchy will win time and time again. So this is where we pick up at Venice Beach, where we left off last week. And Ariana's like, you guys, he fucking sucks. Like, literally, what is up with this? And this is, guy, can I say that? This is when I wish fucking Stassi Schroeder was on the show. Because I think Stassi had such a burning hot hatred for Sandoval that she wouldn't have backed down at a certain point. And it's like, you're seeing the softer side of Stassi. I know Lala really looks up to Stassi, and I just think in this situation, even Stassi would be like, Ariana, you're fucking right. Are you fucking kidding me? You are right. This guy has been giving it to you. I long for like somebody that people fucking respect. Like, nobody would question Stassi. If Stassi had Ariana's back in a scene, it would be game over. Anyways, Brock's like, I think this guy has been castrated and he's sitting in a corner. Brock, no. Sandoval has not been castrated. Sandoval is thriving. Sandoval is not tucking his tail between his legs. Sandoval is there, bitching and moaning about bills and things like that right in front of her, still never apologizing for what he did in the first place. I am fired up. I am like doing this in the afternoon, and I usually do this at night. So I've got a lot of energy, folks. So I apologize in advance, unless you like that. And then, you're welcome. But Brock, no, he's not castrated. It's like men sticking up for other men. And it's like, no, really, Brock, this is what you think? Like, Ariana was right last week. He only respects guys. So Brock, maybe you need to sit in there and go, hey, dude, you need to take it. And what about a fucking apology for what you did? And then we can talk about the bills. Look her in her eyes right now and say, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe. No, it's not that. It's always excuses of like, well, you don't understand, dude. Pins and batteries. I was emasculated. I'm a rock star. I'm masturbating in my bathroom. Blah, 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 blah. Ariana's like, well, I disagree, Brock, because he's literally throwing jabs at me. And Brock's like, you guys are both going tit for tat. There's no tit for tat. There's no titties at all. And Ariana's like, I'm allowed to do that, Brock. And Brock's like, I understand that, but I feel. And Ariana's like, I'm allowed to feel a certain way because of what he did to me. I never did anything to him. That's right, dude. You never got pinned and batteries or nothing, Ariana. Ariana in a talking head says, this man not only tried to ruin me, but now he's saying everything he possibly can and make me seem like a horrible partner, right? Like last week on the after show, he's like, I can't even believe she can wipe her ass by herself, dude. Like, so we're supposed to believe that Sandoval literally for 9 years was with a girl that couldn't wipe her own ass. Oh, dude, it was so smelly, dude. Everywhere, dude. We go to play this. I'm like, Ariana, did you forget to wipe, dude? That's crazy. Ariana continues in the talking head. And if this is the type of conversations that he has about me when all of these people are present, like, fuck any of y'all who are telling him to shut the fuck up. By the way, because this is the real Tom Sandoval. This is the real feelings coming through. And now I'm like, oh shit, he really did potentially hate her for years during this relationship and just never said anything. And that was wild. And now it's like, now he's just like, it's still, there's no personal responsibility. It's just thing after thing about how bad of a person Ariana is, how bad of a person she is, how bad, Schwartz is like, hey guys, well, I'm going to take Tom to the bar and just let things cool off. I don't want to jeopardize the vibe. You're not jeopardizing any vibe. You guys all shouldn't be friends in the first place. This is not a good vibe. And by the way, producers didn't pull you out to the beach for a fun day. Trust me. They were like, we don't want a good vibe. We want television. And Ariana's like, sounds good. Bye. Schwartz and Sandoval walk off and Sandoval's like, was Ariana getting emotional or something? Cause that's awesome, dude. Did you see what I just did? And Schwartz is like, she was. Huh. And Sandoval's like, I mean, I know she was, dude. And Schwartz is like, let's just give him a fucking breather. And Sandoval's like, totally, dude. Totally. You can tell he's so excited. He's like, I got to her, dude. Did you see that? Made her cry, dude. Ariana in this scene goes, he's never going to fucking get it. He did this. I did not do this. And this is the thing. This is where it becomes weird because she's literally probably feels like she's in the Twilight Zone. Like, am I a living, breathing human on this earth? Like, this is literally the conversations and you're just letting him go along with it. You're just letting him just run his mouth. And Lala goes, if he were to say to you, and this is like, I love Lala and Scheana. It's like, okay though, but let's do scenarios. If he were to come to you, like, and Ariana's like, I don't want him to say shit to me. I want him to go jump in the fucking ocean. And Lala's like, he has no way of winning. It's not about winning. Everybody's looking at this completely wrong. This was a human relationship. It's not about winning. It's about literally saying, oh my God, I did something wrong. I'm sorry. I know we're in the end better off for it, both of us, but I'm sorry. That was a huge flaw that I hope I do not repeat anywhere else in my life because I'm repeating it all over the place if you look through the course of my relationships. And Ariana's like, no, Lala, no, I did not do anything to him, period. And Lala's like, Lala just like taking notes. Oh, okay. Schwartz and Sandoval head to the Venice boardwalk to the beach. And Sandoval's like, do you guys have something that's like frozen and delicious that's non-alcoholic? And they get like a non-alcoholic margarita. And Sandoval's like, oh, that sounds delicious, dude. I'll take that. I just wondered, like, how is Sandoval's laxatives just dealing with all of this? Like a non-alcoholic margarita? Like that poor Venice Beach bathroom. Like they've had to shut down Venice Beach. Tom Sandoval had a non-alcoholic margarita on laxative pills. So Schwartz is like, you guys need to get out of that house together. And Sam's like, I mean, dude, I love Maya, dude, the dog. And he's like, I let her have all my laxative pills, dude. I was gaining water weight for a solid 2 weeks because she ate my whole supply, dude. Don't say that, like, I signed the adoption papers. I paid for it. She's talking in regards to the pets. It's like Ariana paid for like everything else in our relationship. So does that mean anything else is mine? Sandoval in a talking head goes, anything the house needs, from toilet paper to trash. Sandoval, Ariana doesn't use toilet paper according to you. to trash bags, the pins, the batteries, to electrical work and repairs. We flash back to 1 year earlier where Sandoval's like, it's like Ariana. When's the last time you've gone to the store and bought paper towels and toilet paper? Like there's pins in the drawer. There's batteries in the drawers because I did that. Actually, probably Anne, his assistant, did that, unless Sandoval was like, no, Anne, that's a man's job. I alone will buy the pins and the batteries. And you can do everything else. Pins, batteries, toilet paper. That's a Sandoval job. Okay. There's boundaries. I'm not going to make you go crazy. Pin the batteries. That's on me. The producer jumps in here on the talking head, which I love. The producer goes, hey, you just got destroyed on the internet for saying the pins and batteries things. Why would you bring it up again? And Sandoval goes, because pins and batteries are essential. I think Ariana's going to be in for it when she gets her own place, dude. She's going to be in for like a very rude awakening. So let's do a little gameplay about Ariana at her new place. She just moved in. Okay, so this is like, here we go. Ariana's like, oh, it's nice up here in the hills. Okay, it's what a fun year. A lot of cool opportunities. I'm just gonna turn on the TV to relax with my favorite stories on the old boob tube. Wait a sec, this remote. What's going on here with this remote? Oh, we're out of batteries. Oh, okay. Hey, I'm gonna go to the store and get some batteries. End scene. Boom. Or I'm gonna have DoorDash send over some batteries. Okay, cool. Moving on. You think Tom's gonna get a call from Ariana like a month after she moves in and goes, Tom, he's like, I know what this is about. The batteries, right? Yeah. I'm lost. I am lost. I had no idea until this morning, and I was trying to wipe my butt, and I didn't have any toilet. I know, dude. That's what I was trying to say. I love you, but like, yeah. The reason I'm calling is I would have written you a note, but you didn't have any pins. Exactly. I know. I'm just so glad you saw the error of your ways. I mean, I've come to realize that most women are completely stupid, but I think it's just amazing that you know that now. And I just thank you so much. And I forgive you, dude. I forgive you. that's in Tom Sandoval's head. That's the scenario that's going to take place. Schwartz is like, well, let's go see where you could cause the least amount of fucking tension. And Sandoval's like, it's my presence, dude. And Schwartz is like, I know. I mean, you're joking, but it's true. Even Schwartz, this is the thing too. Is like Schwartz and Sandoval, they're only stupid so far. Like they get, and then sometimes they obviously lean into their stupidity for sympathy and all of that kind of stuff, but they get it. Schwartz even gets that this man is a toxic red flag, but it's still his best buddy. And it's like, they're going to be friends for the rest of their lives. That's fine. Who cares? Back on the beach, Brock is like, I am hungry. You want to go to the bar? I've got to feed this big old body of mine. Have we noticed that Brock literally wears the most minimal clothing that you could ever wear anywhere? I'm like, he's in a fucking thong and flip-flops and just like, what is going on with her? Even at the paintball scene at the end, everybody's wearing pants because you're going to get hit by paintballs. Brock's like muscular, thick thighs are out there flapping in the wind. I don't care. These muscular, thick thighs can take a big old paintball whacking. I don't care. Like, I imagine like Scheana does have all the closet space because Brock doesn't even need it. He's got like one drawer and it's just a bunch of bikini bottoms. Brock is like, hey, I think Schwartz is like secretly obsessed with that girl. Because Scheana reveals that Tori is coming to the bar. Tori was the girl that was going to be Summer Moon's nanny. That was like, kind of Scheana. I think it was Tori was Sheena's sister's friend or had been growing up around them. So she's really young, folks. And we saw her. And even when I saw her, I was like, oh my God, she looks really young on camera. Like I went to her Instagram and she doesn't look as young on her Instagram, but on film, I was like shocked at how young she looked. I don't know. Anyways, Scheana and Katie laugh about this. And Lala's like, what are you laughing at? And Sheena's like, because I know the true story. And Scheana and I talking to goes, I know I don't have the best track record with matchmaking. And we flash back to Scheana with Schwartz on her podcast 1 year or earlier on Shenanigans. And Sheena's like, let's talk about Raquel. There was this rumor online that you guys were making out at Coachella. And Schwartz is like, oh. And Sheena's like, but would you make the rumors come true? And Scheana continues in a talking head, but I feel like now that Katie is totally over Schwartz, it might be okay to set him up again. I love that Scheana and Katie had this truce. And like Sheena's like, I'm just being a good Samaritan. It's what you do. Like, that's what, like, I want people to be in love. Like, I love love. Live, laugh, love. It's all happening. Lala goes, well, I talked to Tori a lot at your guys' wedding, and I love Tori. And Sheena's like, yeah, she's a very good person. Scheana, if she is a very good person, why would you introduce her to a pit of vipers? Everybody in this cast, everybody, pit of vipers. Well, I would keep like, oh, she's a very good person, so I kept her as far fucking away from this show as possible. Like, it's like, to me, this is the true Illuminati. It's Vanderpump Illuminati, where they just like induct people in and then you're in it for the rest of your life because you're never truly out. Even Billy Lee's back. Like they just come back, just crawling out of the woodwork. Like, it's like Thriller. Thriller, thriller night. You're fighting for your life with Vanderpump cast members from 5 years ago. Ooh! Scheana continues in a talking head. So naturally, I introduced him to my former nanny, Tori, and we flash back to Hotel Ziggy 6 days ago. And Tori's like, help me. And Sheena's like, if you want to make out with Schwartz, go make out with Schwartz. And Tori's like, I do. The conversation should have been when, like, I want to make out with Schwartz, and Scheana being like, girl, no, I'm sending you home in an Uber right now. I'm calling your parents. Get the fuck out of here. You can stay here and drink and listen to the soothing sounds of DJ James Kennedy, but I want you fucking out after you finish that Heineken Light. Like, please get out of here. Like, that's how that conversation should have went. And by the way, Schwartz would tell you the same thing of like, you don't want to be around me. I'm a bad boy. I'm from the wrong side of the tracks. I'm a rebel. So that same night at Hotel Ziggy, and by the way, this is also the same night that Joe freaked out at Hotel Ziggy. So even in the middle of Joe freaking out, Schwartz is like, can I get a number? Can I get some digits? Tori to Schwartz in that same night goes, just so you know, I think you're hot. Please don't do anything stupid and like bleach your hair. She's like, you're hot. And Schwartz laughs like, oh, really? Everybody thinks Schwartz is hot. I love when Schwartz is surprised when people say that he's hot. All Schwartz hears is that he's hot. Like, this is like he's like, the reaction should be like, yeah, I've heard that before. Like, he's like, really? No, everybody thinks you're hot. It's not one of those things like on an occasional day, somebody will be like, oh, you look good looking. That's actually surprising for me. Schwartz heard this his whole life, period. I find Schwartz extremely attractive. Scheana continues in a talking head, but clearly I misjudged things because when Katie heard about it, she was like, no, Tori should date me instead. And we flash back to that same night at Hotel Ziggy. And Katie's like, hey, what's up, bro? Nice to meet you. And Tori's like, how are you? And Katie's like, great. This is my Katie flirting with a girl voice. Hey, great. How are you, bro? And Tori's like, good. I fucking love your hair. Thank you. All right. Scheana finishes in a talking head. But look, all is fair in love and war. And with Katie and Schwartz, that's really all you get. Love and war. Oh, God. Scheana to Katie on the beach goes, Miss Steal Your Girl. I got to tell you, like, the Sandoval stuff completely shocked me and obliterated certain emotional makeup that I had. But this scene like disturbs me. Like the Tory of it all, this really disturbed me. I was like, oh man, I feel weird watching this. Like, am I on a watch list? We're at the waterfront bar now, and Sandra's like, yo, dude, I'm going to do another shot of water. And Schwartz is like, water bombs. We called them back in the day. I love that they're like, that's called drinking water. Anyways, Katie's like, hey, Katie calls. And he's like, oh, Katie called. Hey, you left all your stuff here, loser. And Schwartz is like, it's for the greater cause. I think Schwartz meant to say it's for the greater good, whatever. And Katie's like, what cause? And Schwartz is like, for Ariana's feelings and the vibe of the whole beach day. And Katie's like, Ariana's feelings? Yeah. And Sandra's like, don't say that, dude. And Schwartz is like, thank you for grabbing it. I appreciate it. And Katie can't hear him. Katie's like, well, this was just me letting you know your shit's down here. And Schwartz is like, what? And Katie's like, bye. And Schwartz is like, I love you. Schwartz is like, I couldn't hear anything she was saying. They all show up at the bar, and Lala's like, oh my God, this is so cute, yo. And little Lala's like, fuck yeah, dude, I love this place. Woo! She's like, oh my God, this place is perfect because I want this whole area to put all the food. Lala's storyline is she likes to eat. Anyways, they order some drinks. They get 24 oysters. I'm like, 24 oysters for a group of 8 of you. Let's get some 24 oysters. What the fuck are we doing here, man? Let's oyster it up. Like we need 24. Anyways, another part of the bar, Sandoval walks up to some girls and like, hey, dude, what's up, dude? I have a pool. I co-own a house, dude, but I bought most of the furniture, dude. If you want to see receipts, I'm Tom. What's up? You been a Burning Man, dude? And Schwartz is like, oh, what's up, girls? Madison? And Sandra's like, hey, Madison, what would you like to get your friends a round of? And Madison's like, tequila and a round of vodka shots. And Sandra's like, okay, dude, I'm a super good guy. I'm going to go buy you drinks right now, dude. And that's going to make up for me not apologizing to my actual ex-girlfriend. Anyways, Tori pops in. And Tori's like, hey, girls. And she was like, hi. Sandoval is toasting the girls with his water and their drinks. And he's like, to Venice, to fun and laughter, continued happily ever after. May you girls not fall down the trap of not buying pins and batteries for the loved ones because they'll cheat on you behind your back. Woo! And Schwartz is like, oh my God, Tom. Schwartz is like, Tori like walks up right behind Schwartz. Looks like she just got right out of high school. And Schwartz is like, oh my God, this is the gangster. Schwartz to the pickup girls is like, oh my God, my girlfriend's here. And Tori's like, are you going to involve me in your fucking conversation? And Schwartz is like, that was a little bit, you guys. She's not actually my girl. This is Tori. And Tori to the girls that Tom bought drinks for is like, oh, really? Hi. And the one girl at the table is like, I feel that was a little dramatic. And Tori's like, I'm his ex-wife. And Schwartz is like, no, she's not. No, I didn't know you were coming. Do you want a drink? Can I ID you first? And, they get a bottle of champagne. He's like, you like champagne? Oh my God. I was thinking of you as like a tequila girl. Oh, like my ex tequila Katie. I miss her so much. And Tori's like, go get the champagne. He's like, okay. Tori's already bossing around Schwartz. So, Schwartz is like totally rock hard at this point. Schwartz like, oh my God, this is amazing. If you call me a piece of shit, I'll marry you. Schwartz in a talking head goes, I always thought Tori was like super cute. Super fly. Did you just say super fly? Super fly for a white guy. Ding, ding, ding. Schwartz is at the bar ordering, pays $50 for a bottle of champagne. That's a good price, actually. Schwartz continues in a talking head. Yeah, and at Hotel Ziggy, she confesses to me that, she thinks I'm fly as well. And I'm like, whoa. Schwartz is never like, whoa. Schwartz assumes girls like are into him. He's like, some validation? All Schwartz gets is validation. Are you kidding me? Even with like us knowing that Schwartz really did know about the Rachel Sandoval relationship in the beginning, we're still fine with it. We're still like, oh, come here. Let me give you a noogie, you guy. Look at you and your little blonde hair, your hair falling out of the roots because Joe did it wrong. Come here. Give me a hug, you guy. And the guy is so, like, God, I was making Kate Gosselin memes out of him yesterday and he loved it. I told him that he kissed Gypsy Rose Blanchard in Vegas. He like loved it. He DM'd me. It was like, oh, it's like, Schwartz. Anyways, Tori's in his face. And she's like, so you're going to ask me out on a date? And Schwartz is like, whoa, this is not a date? And she's like, or are you going to send me fire emojis? And Schwartz is like, do you want to go out on a date? And Tori's like, just looking at him intensely. She's like, okay. And Schwartz is like, yeah, okay. And Tori's like, cheers to going out on a date. It's just that simple, folks. Yeah. Over at the other side of the bar, they're all gorging on oysters, which I think they should order more of. And Katie's like, I'll be right back. Because, she's going to go over and do her scene with Tori now. Schwartz pours Tori her champagne. Like, we got to start celebrating. This is a big step for me with actually asking a girl out on a date and not just making out with them in public. And Katie walks up to them and is like, oh, hi. Oh, hi. How are you? I'm Katie. And Schwartz is like, where did you come from? And Katie's like, don't worry about us. And Schwartz is like, Katie, you didn't buy her a bottle of champagne like I did. Schwartz in a talking head goes, what a little cock blocker. I will say this, like hands down. Katie 1000% has a bigger dick than Schwartz. Like big, like huge dick energy, not BDE. We're talking HDE. Katie Maloney, HDE. Like, are you kidding me? I would feel inferior around Katie Maloney. Like, it's like not even a pissing contest. Katie is one hands down. Like, I'm scared of Katie Maloney. Like that's how I used to picture in the 90s. Like if Katie Lang or Melissa Etheridge walked into a bar, I would just be like, and if like I was with the girls, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go because Katie Lang and Melissa Etheridge, I would like they would win in any girl competition. Katie Maloney could steal your girl, period, point blank. And because Katie's figured out the secret that us men are fucking idiots. She knows it. She knows it without and she's accepted it. And she's moved on, and I think she's taken that information. I think Katie should just go from town to town, just like one of those old wanderers, and just like, hey, who's that person that just came into town? Well, that's Katie Maloney. She just goes from town to town and picks up women, and like I feel like it's like game over. If Katie wanted to be I know she doesn't like to identify or put a label on it, but I'm sorry, I think Katie could clean up. I know I have probably a small lesbian audience, but if I do, would you hook up with Katie? I don't want to speak for, but I feel like she could clean up. And I know she does well with the guys, but like, I feel like I know I keep saying this. All I do is think about Katie with ladies. Anyways, Katie's like, that's not champagne, Schwartz. And Schwartz is like, yeah, it is. It's brut. And Katie's like, that's not champagne. And Schwartz is like, I know we can't technically call it champagne. It's sparkling wine. I swear it is, Tori. I've got the receipt. Schwartz continues in a talking head. I don't know if Katie's really into Tori or if she just kind of wants to compete with me and prove that she's better. I don't think she needs to prove. I don't think she needs to prove it, man. It would be funny though if Katie did everything that Schwartz did, and then next episode Katie comes in with like badly bleached blonde hair, and she's like, I don't know, I was just feeling it. I feel the kin energy, you know. Katie and I talking head goes, if he doesn't like me taking his girls from him, maybe he should try harder. Ooh, mic drop, dick drop. And Katie's like, well, I think someone wants to talk to you. That girl is trying to talk to you and you're ignoring her. And Schwartz is like, what? You're being rude. And Schwartz is like, I'm gonna go over there. He's like, she's motioning to the pickup girls, like, hey, give me a chance to talk to Tori. You go over to those girls that Sandoval's buying drinks for. And Katie's like, what a weirdo, dude. Katie and Tori cheers. Very smooth. This, I mean, it really is. And DJ James Kennedy is in the back of the waterfront. He's playing cornhole with Logan No. And this is the person last week. I remember Logan No. This is the guy that DJ James Kennedy like allegedly made out with. And then they got into a fight. So I'm glad that they're back on speaking terms. This is the other thing I was going to tell you guys. I like when we can just like, these are long. For the people that want to listen. If you don't. But there's so much to talk about. And you guys, you know, we're friendly. So let's talk. DJ James Kennedy, people are like, oh, this show should end, blah, blah, blah. No, man. DJ James Kennedy has only been kind of like a side character this season where he just kind of throws in some really funny commentary and stuff. But he's going to get the hot potato, and it's probably going to be next season. And James Kennedy, like, he's got a lot of stuff in his past that if they choose to bring it up on the show, like, I wonder if they're saving it. Like, they're like, well, let's keep that in our back pocket for season 12. And I would be really curious because there's a conversation to be had of, if DJ James Kennedy has truly grown, and it seems like he has in some ways, and the relationship with Allie seems like it really has given him a completely different energy. I think we all like Allie Bally very much. So I think there's a conversation to be had is how men approach their pasts and what they've done in the past, and can you come back from that? And I'd be curious if this show would ever deal with that. Like on the Valley, we had Kristen Doute's, like, you know, the racism conversation. I wish they had brought it more into episode 4. It was at the end of episode 3, beginning of episode 4. And I think there's these conversations to be had. And sometimes I wonder, you know, sometimes maybe the show is not the place to have these big conversations, but I think it's interesting. And that's why, like, when we get into the fights between the women, I'm like, we have all the men right here. We could actually have this interesting discussion of people truly trying to figure out their own behavior and what they've done. Like I always say, I am no fan of the artist formerly known as Raquel, but I will say what I've always said, you know, is that I really respected the fact that she put herself into intensive therapy. I think sometimes it's a little messy when she's obviously figuring herself out still, and she's doing a podcast at the same time. But like the podcast is about her healing, but then she's like, oh, I fucked up and I made fun. I encouraged Joe to make fun of Katie and Dana on the red carpet. Oops. Like, I feel like then she's talking about the mistake she just made last week. And I think there is something interesting, but I think at the end, it feels like that could be entirely detrimental to your healing process. And at the end of the day, it just goes to show it's hard to be a fucking human. No matter how good you want to be, sometimes our basest instincts are to lash out. and to cause pain and to make fun of. Like those are those instincts that we all have in ourselves, and nobody purely escapes that. So I, even with Rachel, I hope that she gets to a point where she realizes, like, well, it's like either play in the sandbox or don't play in the sandbox. But it's hard to try to hold yourself above and say, I want to do ethical reality show telling, and then still kind of do the same moves that a cast member of Vanderpump Rules would do. But anyways, I think there is this conversation they would have that I'm curious to see in season 12 if they would have with DJ James Kennedy. Are you guys in agreement with that? Do you know what I'm saying? Anyways, but I do want to believe, that's why I thought Sandoval at the end of the day missed such a golden opportunity to really take some time to figure out why he is the way he is. And I think then it would be such fascinating reality television. And you could do it even in not a fun way, but you could do it in a way that would be informative and still entertaining, and we could watch, and I think we would know, we would believe it. Like when somebody's really working on themselves, I think you really see that work, that progress, and I think we are attracted to that. And I think that's why Sandoval is still getting the hate that he's getting, is because it just rings so false. And if anything, it seems like he's becoming more narcissistic. I know we're not supposed to label anybody, but it seems like he's becoming more obsessed with him and his image than what he's caused surrounding it, you know? Whew, that was a mouthful. So Brock and Allie are playing ping pong next to DJ James Kennedy, and Brock's like, Allie, do you have any siblings? And she's like, no. How is that growing up? And she's like, I loved it. Well, that was a great little scene. And we're back inside, and Lala's like, Ariana, we know that you cannot control Tom, what he does, how he acts. You can only control yourself. This is the softer side of Lala. Do you feel like there's unresolved feelings? And Ariana's like, well, I know the amount of anger I feel for him. I understand it's not healthy. And she's like, I wish that there could be a calm conversation. Like, I know I fucked up. I shouldn't have done that. And Ariana's like, but he's never going to say he's fucked up. And Scheana's like, no, I meant you. No. She definitely means Tom. But Ariana's right. He's never going to say he fucked up. And Ariana's like, he hasn't even told me he fucked up about the main fucking thing. Exactly. And like, that's what I'm saying. Even if you hate Ariana, I'm begging you, please just listen to this. Listen to it. You might not like the way it comes out of her mouth, but please, she's saying it right here. He still hasn't actually apologized. Deep down, this man thinks he's in the right still. And Lala goes, do you almost feel like when you're looking at him that it's like you just threw me away, like I was just nothing? Now, this is fabulous. This is a fantastic question from Lala. And this is a real conversation, but it infuriates me because I feel like then they use this against her. And it hurts me even more that Lala goes as hard as she does on Ariana when it's like this. Well, anyways, Ariana pauses and goes, yeah. Like, and I just hope this was an honest conversation and not Lala going, I'm going to make this bitch cry. I'm going to get some tears finally. Anyway, Lala starts crying. She dabs a tear from the corner of her eye, very Candace coated from Potomac. And Ariana goes, he knew all these deepest, darkest parts of me and she finally cries. We good? She cries. Here it is. She's human. And I think that's like a big thing with relationships, right? You know, Tom and Ariana, whether you want to think whatever you want about their relationship, they did share their deepest, darkest. Like Tom knows things about Ariana that nobody else knows, probably still to this day. It'll probably come out in Tom Sandoval's book next year. But you know, that's the part I think that in relationships is like when you open yourself up to a person so completely over so many years and you feel like they didn't at the end of the day care, or maybe your deepest, darkest part of you, maybe it made you less attractive. Maybe it made you, and he didn't like that. And like that can really fuck with your head, right? And Lala goes, you created a life with someone, and that is what happens when things start to like unravel. And, you know, there's no guarantee that a relationship is going to work out. And Scheana's holding Ariana's hands like they're on her, like Cinderella's stepsisters, you know, and like, Scheana's like, yeah, that was your dream house. He fucking wrecked that house. And now let's just get you out. And who cares about the materialistic items when it comes to your happiness? But can't we say the same about Tom? You're holding on to materialistic goods too. Like to me, this is like a even no sum game of like, let's get you out. But then to me, if I was Ariana, I would think that like he wins. And I think Tom would think he won. Come on, you've seen Tom's behavior. If Ariana left, he would think he won. He would. And I just don't know why we're not having the guys pull Tom aside and going, get the fuck out of the house, dude. Just do it. And, like the people that he listens to, Jax Taylor made Brittany and his son get out of the house. I think Brittany revealed that on the Not Skinny, Not Fat Amanda Hirsch podcast this week. Is that Jax refused to leave, so she left. And that's wild. And Ariana just begins to cry, and Lala wraps her arms around her. And she's like, I just want you to be happy. And Ariana begins to sob and goes, you're right. And Scheana's like, I'm sorry. And Ariana's crying, no, you're right. And it sucks because it's like I put so much of my life and my money and my time and then making this my dream home. And it was my dream home. And he was a part of the dream home. And then it's like, not only did he wreck it, but the way he wants to act like he's someone deserving of like staying there and like keeping it. The digs. And I never did anything to him. No, pins and batteries. Are you kidding me? That's where you got it wrong, Ariana. And Lala goes, I know. No, you don't, Lala. Don't act like one way in a scene and then another way. I don't feel like you do know. And especially, this is so Captain Obvious that we all, but like, I know we can't compare relationships. It's apples and oranges, but like, especially coming from the Randall relationship, especially that. Lala was so sticking up for Randall that I reconsidered how I felt about Randall. And I was like, maybe he is a great guy. Lala goes so hard in the paint for him. And that's the other thing too, is that you realize just because somebody speaks with a clear voice doesn't mean they know what they're fucking talking about. Is that like we all make mistakes. Lala made a mistake in being with Randall in the first place. They got a beautiful daughter out of it. She got a beautiful daughter out of it, but it was a mistake in so many ways. And she realizes that now, but at the time she spoke the same way she speaks about this season about certain things, the same clear voice of he's amazing, blah, 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 blah. Just because you speak clearly and carry a big stick doesn't mean you're right. And that's the thing, is like being softer, you can be soft with yourself and with others, but also being soft can also admit that you're wrong. And it can also admit that, like, I think one of the big things about making fuck ups in life is sometimes realizing that your mind tells you lies, that our minds lie to us, and that we will then we will make excuses to ourselves of why we're in the right when we aren't. And that's really hard to come down from it at the same time, because I think people get afraid when they admit they're wrong, that you're admitting you are just a piece of shit, no good human being. And that's just not it. That's not it. Anyways, Ariana in a talking head goes, I keep my armor up because this shit is fucking traumatic. And I'm trying to find ways to go through all these things without making it everybody else's problem. But then he's openly talking shit because the guy has no remorse. And I know I keep coming back to Lala because I think she's a fascinating person to study in this whole scenario. Because first off, Ariana does keep her armor up. She's always kept her armor up. And that's always dinged against her from the other ladies throughout the seasons. Ariana's so tough, but she does. She keeps her armor up. She has a close, tight-knit circle of friends that are not on the show that she lets her armor down with, right? But she needs to make sure she trusts all of those people. And she trusted Tom implicitly. But also there's this thing of, I don't want to make it everybody else's problem. She's not going to make you watch her be a mess and just like vomit all of these bad feelings, even though people would probably love if she did it. Her friends would love it, but we're all different. We're all different. I tell you guys more about like my pain with my mom and my grandma and all that than I told people in my real life. How fucked up is that? Because I'm like, I don't want to call a friend, or I don't want to Rebecca. I don't want to put this on them. I don't want to give this to them. And it's such a dumb way of thinking. I know it's so wrong, right? But anyways, like she's doing all this stuff and he's out there like talking shit at her on beach day, making fun of her in front of everybody. And she's like, the guy has no remorse. But she does admit this shit is fucking traumatic. And I just hate that Lala is sitting there for this whole scene. And why would Ariana ever treat you like a friend and trust you at this point with her innermost secrets? She has said she keeps her armor up. And my thing is, if I watched the back half of this season, if I was Ariana, and I opened up in a scene like this, and then I saw the shit Lala was talking about me in other scenes, and then in constant interviews in the press, elevating her own image, I would be like, why would I ever share or open up with you at all? Like, why? And especially if you're a person that carries your armor like that, you would never, ever again. Like, relationship done, period. No. Like all other reality show characters, you see it like Real Houses of Salt Lake City. Meredith and Lisa Barlow say the worst things to each other. The next season, they're like, we're fine. I'm like, how did that happen? What? You are a special kind of person. You are a housewife. But other people aren't like that. Other people, it's like, no, you're done. You're done. You betray me, you're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. Trust is earned, right? And it can be taken away. And this is exactly what Ariana is saying about Tom, with the inner stuff. And I think it applies to friends as well. But Lala is even kissing and holding Ariana's hand. And Lala goes, out of all the ways you could have handled it, you fucking rose to the occasion. You grabbed opportunity by the balls and just fucking ran. And Ariana's like, yeah. I love that opportunity is a part of these conversations. It's always like you grab the money. Yes, I love it. It's like opportunity. We're not talking about opportunity right now. We're talking about the emotional shit, the squishy shit that surrounds your heart, right? We're not talking about money right now, Lala. We're talking about the squishy shit. Yeah, put that on a shirt. We're talking about the squishy shit. In another corner of the bar, let's go to this horrible nightmare. Tori's like, have you dated a girl, Katie? And Katie's like, dated? No. And Tori's like, have you had sex with a girl? And Katie smiles and shakes her head yes. And in that smile and shaking her head yes, I was like, Katie is thrown down. Miss Maloney, if you are listening, turn this off. Tori goes, it's better. It's better with women. It's better. And Katie's like, yeah, but I would never put any kind of label on myself. I like people. Katie Maloney, I like people. That's another shirt right there. Katie Maloney, I like people. Here's the thing. And as a barely heterosexual man, I hope this doesn't piss anybody off. But it probably will. If it's better, well, it's not even a thing. It's a question. It's like, why? Like I sometimes, why don't girls just be with girls? Like all girls just be with girls. Like us guys, we fuck everything up. We hurt people's feelings. We like do things. We think we're doing it right, but we end up doing it wrong. Like, why not just be with girls? Like, why? Do it, like, and we, like sometimes I'm like, if it's better, Tori, just date girls. Why are you then throwing yourself at Schwartz? Just date Katie. Just go, if it's better, go with what's better. Like, do that for yourself then. I don't know. I know that's probably so remedial and I'll probably get an email about it, but that was my thought, Rods. And I'm like, if it's better, go with what works. Go with what's better, for everybody. Katie in a talking head goes, I always had an attraction to women, but I was with Tom Schwartz forever. And he's kind of like a won't. No, she goes, so I wasn't really acting on any of that, but he's not going to stop me from doing anything now. And, whoa, and Tori's like, you're so cute. You're making me nervous. I don't get nervous. And Katie's like, why? Why, brother? And Tori's like, I don't know. You're so pretty. I want to kiss you so bad. And Katie's like, we can kiss. And Tori's like, really? And Katie's like, yeah. And they both move towards each other for a kiss and hold each other's faces. And Tori goes, ee. And I feel like this is the point in an 80s movie, like the sax player would come out like, do, 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 like some sax music. Sexy sax music while Katie Maloney kisses Tori, barely of age. And the editing in this, they keep like cutting the edit so it looks like it goes on forever, which was probably like a 3-second kiss, but they keep like the edit is so weird here. Lala sees them and she's like, zoinks, look at Katie's face. They're giving sex eyes. Katie's popped a full boner. And Allie covers her mouth in surprise. And Schwartz is like, I paid $50 for champagne and she gets the first kiss. And Katie to Tori goes, I like it. I like it a lot. And Tori's like, shut up. Katie takes Tori's face in her hands again and goes, I really like it. And kisses Tori. And I'm telling you, a sax player right here would really amp up. Like if like the whole bar went dark and we just saw candles lit up. And at this point I was like, let's see some tongue. Let's go all the way, Katie. I'm not seeing tongue. Let's like, it just gets filthy. It's like a 30-minute like extended version. Peacock, the extended version. Katie Maloney and Tori totally go to Pound Town. You like that? Hey, I'm going to pour Schwartz's champagne, hurry his brute all over your body. I'm going to lick it up. All right. Anyways, the sun sets on this demonic night in LA and it rises up again. we're at an outdoor food stand called Tail of the Pup. It's been open since 1946. I believe it's on Sunset Boulevard. And Joe walks up. And Joe walks up, and this is a scene with Joe and producer's pet. Oh, I'm sorry, Lala. Producer's pet. Oh. Producer's pet. She'll do any scene with anyone. You want Ariana to cry, she'll make her. She's a producer's pet. I kind of say this as a compliment, though, and I've said this if you go back and listen. Lala will eventually produce her own reality show one day. And I don't even mean she'll star in it, but I think I think she is a producer's pet because she has a producer's mind. It's not my favorite type of reality show character. I want somebody that is not thinking 5 steps ahead. I want somebody that is not thinking of like, how do we do these storylines? Even when I hear interviews with Lala, she was like, I was worried. Yeah, like I was worried, like our show we're going into, and Ariana has never been a main cast member. And I'm like, oh, we have to put all our bets on this. Let the producers worry about that. Like, let the producers worry about that. What's your storyline been the last couple of seasons? Let the producers worry about that. To me, it just reads as fake and phony, and you smell it coming from a mile away. But at the same time, Lala is a star. Both are true. Lala is a star. But I just hate that. Like, I don't want to see people just trying to keep a show going and keep like, no, I want real stuff. That's why Sandoval worked, because it was so fucking real. It fucking gave you goosebumps everywhere, goose pimples, whatever you want to call it. It grabbed us because you're like, this is fucking real, and it's tawdry and it's explosive and it's just maniacal, and it really happened. And it wasn't even on camera. It happened behind the scenes. Sorry, you guys. This is a long one. I have too much energy. Anyway, so we're at the Tail of the Pup, and Lala comes up like fully in glam, and Joe's like, "Hey, what's going on? I'm Joe." I hope Joe comes back next season. At the end of this episode, I would kind of doubt it, but at the same time, I think there's been such big fan reaction about Joe that I wouldn't mind her being a part of the cast, and I would find it hysterical that Lala will have to do scenes with Joe as a buddy, and eventually Scheana will have to like buddy up with Joe. She's gonna be like, Lala told me I have to be nice to you. Like I think that would be hysterical of just throwing in Joe now. Like I'm not team Joe, because my trepidation with Joe, even though I felt emotionally for her this episode, and I think we all did, we'll get to it. Okay. So anyways, Joe's like, hey, and Joe, is like ordering some hot dogs. Like, I love this. It's really cool. Pull my finger. And Lala walks up to meet her. She's like, hey, how come I never noticed this wiener? Dick joke. And Lala's like, I'm never going to be able to focus on anything else. And then they order some hot dogs. And Joe's like, we look like a lesbian couple. And Lala's like, do we? Am I a lipstick lesbian? And Joe's like, yeah. Ooh, thank you for coming here. Thomas Schwartz told me I really want you to talk to Lala at some point. I killed a turtle. And Lala goes, well, I saw you the other night at Hotel Ziggy. And Joe's like, and Lala goes, and I saw from afar that like you were not okay. We flash back to Hotel Ziggy 6 nights ago. And Katie's like, if she feels uncomfortable, then I'm thrilled. And Joe, hunched over by herself near Billy Lee, is like, I don't know what to do. I'm the target lady. And Joe's like, very much so, Lala. Joe sitting cross-legged in a talking head. I love Joe's like, can I say cross-legged? I'm going to shake up the talking head game. She's like, I didn't feel welcome at Hotel Ziggy. I see how much Schwartz loves his friends, and I want to be welcomed into the group, the gang, if I want to be a part of Schwartz's life forever, and potentially Lala is the ticket to that. That statement, so many red flags in that of Schwartz. I want to be close with Schwartz, so I need to be part of the friend group so I can be closer to Schwartz, because I want to be in his life forever. And I mean, I think we all see the red flags everywhere. And it's with Joe, I wish Joe had a good friend, and maybe that's why she didn't talk to people like Doute, that was her allegedly good friend, and just stopped talking to her, because Doute might have talked some sense into her. I don't know. And said, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Like your mind is completely like you start having these weird fantasies when you're in love with somebody and that's not reciprocated and your brain is broken. Like you're not even thinking correctly. You got poison in you. And it's like these poisonous thoughts, but then it's really dark because then you're like, I'm going to ingratiate myself in his friend group just to try to get closer to him. And that's just not good. Not good at all. Lala's like, obviously, Ariana, Katie, they have their own mind what happened. For like my own sanity, Tom and Raquel, did you know, Joe? And Joe's like, no! Okay, here's the thing. And Lala goes, how could you not have known? I hung out with him a couple times. I'm not watching him. I'm looking at Schwartz. My eyes are only on Schwartz. I've got stalker vibes on Schwartz. This is my problem with Joe right here. Boom. This is what I want to talk to you guys about. I have a lot of sympathy and empathy, and it's a very tragic situation for Joe. I hope her heart heals, even though she's still like sending lovey-dovey Instagram posts about Schwartz as of a couple of weeks ago. But she fucking knew. Like she fucking knew. Either you get this is somebody that watched all of Vanderpump Rules. She fucking knew. Oh, my eyes were on Schwartz. Bullshit. Cut the shit. Even Scheana on Watch What Happens Live last night said, dude, Joe drove Raquel to the ski trip and then left her there. Like, I'm sorry. You can only play dumb for so you can't, like, this is the part. And I know she's probably protecting her good friend Schwartz that she loves with. And Sandoval is a good guy and she wants to be a part of this. And Schwartz loves Sandoval. So you're obviously lying. And at some point we'll probably find out. This is one of the reasons why I want Joe to stay on the show, because probably 2 or 3 years from now, she'll admit like, oh, and by the way, I actually did fully fucking know. And she won't do it now. But this is where it's like, you could have this moment. And by the way, this is when it's like pisses me off that all the girls are fighting, because the rest of this episode should have been Lala. If Lala was really being like a real, like, if Lala wants to be a legend, Lala could have been like, how could you have not have known? And Joe says this and then she goes, I'm sorry, this conversation's over then. Joe, you tell me right fucking now. I know exactly what you went through. I respect you. I want to hang out with you, but you got to fucking like, tell me right now. Tell me, use that Lala charm, use that Lala pitbull energy that you say you bring, go hard in the paint for your friends, Ariana, Scheana, all of these people, and get the real story out of Joe. Be like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Let's enjoy our hot dogs. Like the whole episode could have gone in a whole different direction. And I'm bummed about that, because that's the one thing that I do. There's elements of Joe I really enjoy, like, and empathize with, but no way she didn't fucking know. No way. And if she didn't know, Joe shouldn't be allowed to have a license, shouldn't be allowed to cut hair. She shouldn't be like, it would just be like, oh shit, this girl is like in danger all the time then if she's not recognizing something where they're going out on double dates. No. Period. No. But it's that whole relationship. Remember when Joe and Schwartz were first hanging out and that was all lies? Like, oh, just my friend. Like, no, it's not like romantic or anything like that. And then you find out now they were constantly having sex and still having sex, I guess, to this point. So yes, how are we supposed to believe anything that comes out of Joe's mouth? Doesn't make Joe a bad person, but it does make her not a reliable narrator or a reliable witness. Joe in a Talking Heads, like, to be honest with you, I thought Ariana and Sandoval were broken up. I think it's crazy for anybody to assume that I would be like, Sandoval, how's your relationship with Ariana? It just wasn't a thing. Like, move on. What are you, a politician? You thought Ariana and Sandoval were broken up. You went over to their house for Thanksgiving. Yeah, you thought so if you thought Ariana and Sandoval broke up, well, let's ask some more questions about that. Why did you think that? Did Sandoval say that? You were hanging out with him a lot. It didn't come up. When you were on the ski trip and that fan wanted to take a photo with Sandoval and you guys, and Sandoval got all weird about it, did you guys talk about it then? You were there. Let us know. You're not telling us the full story. Lala goes, you and Schwartzy is like the strangest thing in the entire world. And little Lala's like, fuck yeah. And Joe cracks up. She's like, well, I'm like, I don't think it's that funny. And Lala goes, but you don't want to be in a relationship with him? And Joe's like, we got very emotionally close. I would be there when he would cry about Katie and just being there for T Money. And Lala's like, you call him T Money? And Joe's like, yeah, yeah. I know it's weird. I don't know. And Lala's like, is that a common thing? It's just a random thing because I'm a random girl. And I made up and I was like, oh, Joseph, I don't fucking know. And Lala laughs. And Lala goes, T, Money, and Joseph. That should be like when you guys send out your wedding invites. And Joe's like, oh, come on, dude. But at the same time, you can tell Joe's like, oh my God, just give me validation. Say that we're potentially going to be married one day. That's the other thing too. These people that end up like really obsessing about you, they want validation from other people of like, say that we'd be perfect together. Say it. Cause it like keeps that fuel going, you know? So we swing on over to Top Golf. This is when I was like, why are there this many fucking activities? Like we need to go to Top Golf. Like, guys, I'm okay with just sitting around at a bar or a couch, but now we're at Top Golf. And at this point, it's like, yeah, let's jump into an active volcano or something. And James is like, are you ready for some Top Golf with Top Man? This is so cool. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, cool. And James is like, Ariana first, eye on the ball, give it a whack. All right, that got some good air. All right, Ali Dally, all right. And they get some Bloody Marys. And James is like, Katie, how drunk were you last night? Do you remember making out with Tori? And Katie's like, yeah, of course I do. And Ariana's like, I mean, she's cute. And Katie's like, she's going on a date with Schwartz tonight. And Allie's like, that's what's funny. And James is like, wait, so let me get this straight. Oh, so you're chatting with Tori, right? And it's just like, at what point did it go from like, we're just chatting into, should we make out right now? Was it because now Schwartz is going on a date? So you just felt like, I should move in right now, please. And Katie's like, do you guys think I care that much about like what Tom Schwartz does? It's not always about, no, I know. No, I have to ask because it's coincidental. I mean, it's like the same month that you got with Max Big Dick Boyens. It would be funny though if Katie did hook up with everybody Schwartz cheated on Katie with during their relationship. It was just like a whole season of that. James in a talking head is like, why is everybody acting like this is so fucking normal? Okay, well, first off, James, you're on Vanderpump Rules. This is normal at this point. Okay, let me paint the bloody picture, okay? Katie was married to Schwartz. They were married, like in a white dress and vows and cheers, everybody, right? And now they're not. They're divorced. They're dating the same fucking girl that looks like she's fucking 21 years old. Like, what the fuck is this? This shit is fucking weird. DJ James Kennedy sometimes nails it, man. And I'm so like the 21 years old. I was like, exactly, dude. She looks barely of age. That was the thing. I didn't give a rip that they were going for the same girl. I could care less. I don't give a shit if it's progressive. I don't care. Like, great. The thing that bothered me was like, so young, because then what happens that like she's so young, and then like she's like in therapy 10 years from now is like, oh, once I was like used on this reality show, or like this couple that were married, they like went like, you don't know how she's gonna like process the trauma from being on this Vanderpump Rules episode. I really hope she isn't in next. I hope this isn't like a storyline that keeps going. Anyways, Katie's like, well, what was going on with you and Lala and Scheana when I was like talking to Tori? And I was like, doing your thing. They were like, I don't want you like to be triggered by him. He's literally like throwing all kinds of jabs under his breath. They're in full earshot of me. His voice is fucking annoying as fuck, talking about Sandoval. And Katie's like, I don't know why they're not understanding. I'm confused. And James is like, well, he invited us paintballing like the guys. Well, everyone. And Ariana's like, so they're a group text where I'm not included. And Allie's like, well, I don't want to paintball. And I don't want to paintball with him. I love paintballing, Allie Bally. Don't say that about paintballing. Whatever you want to do, Allie Bally. And Allie's like, you paintball, go. You get your anger out on him. That was like a telling line. Like, don't put it on me, put it on him. And James like, there might be a sneak attack. I might be in the bush. And Ariana's like, dude, get it. He has his own paintball gear because he thinks he's some sort of fucking professional paintballer. Tom Sandoval, professional paintballer. What's up, girls? Yeah. Thinking about going to Burning Man this year. In the meantime, I've joined a professional paintballing league, dude. It's pretty cool. We go out by Magic Mountain and we just rip it up, dude. Tear it up with some paintballs. I'm a pretty good shot. I don't want to brag, but it's pretty cool. Anyways, Allie's like, Ariana, how's the house stuff going? Ariana's like, well, I got to wait to see if he's going to counter my counter offer. And this is the thing too. Like, okay, so there's been an offer and Ariana has counter offered, and now we're going to see if there's a counter offer to that offer. But what I'm getting from other things that I read is that women should give up. Women should give up. And if a man wants something, a man should get it first. Like that's sometimes it feels like there's not a lot of delicacy in this conversation. It really does feel like, well, Ariana should give up. Period. It's Ariana's fault. Period. That's the part that I'm trying to understand. It just doesn't seem a lot of gray area. James is like, so if he rejects the offer, like what happens? And Ariana's like, well, in the letter, it's basically like you have this many days to do this. And if you don't do it, like we're prepared to go to court and have the house sold fire sale style. And James is like, oh, behave. Oh. And I was like, do you have any idea of what, when you do move, like dream place, like what part of LA? And Ariana's like, well, I guess I want to kind of something that feels like, I don't know. And Katie's like a little tree house. And she does live in her new house is in the hills. And Ariana's like, yeah, treehouse vibes. So Allie, by the way, I hope it doesn't get to a fire sale. That would be so, you'd lose so much money on that. Anyways, Allie goes, well, that's actually so exciting. You can start like manifesting that. And James is like, I think she is just saying that. And Aaron's like, yeah, it's going to be really exciting to have that be mine. And James is like, fuck yeah. Oh, by the way, in terms of the houses, I was on Up and Adam's YouTube show this morning talking about this. And I was like, oh, so Ariana, $1.7 million for her house in the hills. And it's like a shoebox house kind of, but it's great. Like 1.7, that's a lot of money in Los Angeles. That doesn't get you tons, but it looks like a really nice place, right? Like the amount of size for, her. But then I was thinking like, well, Lala got like a $3.2 million house in the Valley. And I was like, is this part of the reason why Lala is going so hard? Because she's like, I got to pay bills. And she got that house in Palm Springs. And we know the Senator Daryl merch did good. We know the podcast does good, and you can make a lot of good money, especially if you're somebody like Lala that, but I mean, is that why she's going this hard? Like making sure this continues because she needs the paycheck. Somebody wrote to me and said, well, no, actually, after the Up and Adam said, actually, I think it was said that Lala said this, that even her mom's helping her out with the house and that she does come from money. And that kind of frustrated me too. Cause then I was like, Lala, you don't get what Ariana goes. Like Ariana, like said before, she doesn't come from family money. She never has. So like, it is really important, like, not losing money on the home and staying there and getting a new place. Like, Lala might not look at things the way because she doesn't experience the same things as Ariana does. She doesn't come from the same background. Like I didn't know that Lala's mom was helping her out with the house. And that kind of frustrated me because I was like, Lala, then take yourself out of this conversation. If you're being helped out and Ariana isn't being helped out, you got to understand, like everything evens out in the wash. Like Ariana might have all these brand deals, but you have somebody actually helping you out. You have a family member helping you out. I mean, which is amazing if you have family that can do that for you, Anyways, Ariana's like, yeah, this house is great and nobody can take it from me. A bouncy song plays. It's about time we collided. Are we there? We got fire, so ignite it. And Lala and old Scheana are headed into California Cryobank because they are going to thaw out Ken Todd. Can you believe I've been in cryo freezing for the entire season? I can't believe that. Lisa put me in there after I said the jacuzzi line, and I'm so thankful that I'm out of cryo freezing now. Oh, please help me. Oh, please. Lala goes, I had my call yesterday to set up my estate plan. It's terrifying. They're like, if you die. And I was like, no wonder Lala needs to do what she's doing. Like, what, are we going to have a whole estate planning episode? Like, next season 12, the cast works on their wills. Tom's like, dude, if I die, I want you to have all my lightsabers, dude. Yeah. Okay, so Lala and Scheana are at this cryo bank where they've just met Ken, who's been unfrozen. And Lala lets us know that she loved being pregnant. She shows her naked selfie at 4 months pregnant from 2020. Lala meets this guy, Brian Hyde, who seems very excited to be on camera. He's like, what's going on? Let's get somebody pregnant. Let's do this. Lala says, I want to be fully in charge of my child. I don't ever want the unknown. Be like, well, you may work out with your partner. You may enter into a custody battle and have to share. I think this is an interesting, you can actually make, obviously a child and a home are completely separate things. But Ariana was just saying that too with her house. I want to own something entirely. I don't want it to ever be taken away from me. And I think that's an interesting correlation that you could possibly make of women wanting, men to not fuck up what they're trying to do at all, to have things for themselves. So I'm completely in support of, it doesn't matter if I support it or not, but I think it's great that Lala went out and did this for herself, especially that she has this desire to be a mom. I think that's amazing. because she has this custody situation she has to deal with Ocean all the time. But she says in the talking head that she just wants to know that her kid is mine forever. So they meet this guy Brian about doing this, and they talk about, like, what's the deal with the sperm, and do people do this for money, or they do it out of the goodness of their heart, because she's nervous about this thing. And I thought, I was like, oh my god, wouldn't it be this is your storyline for season 12 right now, is that they just make all the male cast members donate sperm. They don't tell Lala. That's Lala's worst nightmare. Santa was like, yeah, dude, I just donated sperm for Lala's baby just for the future. And Schwartz is like, I did it yesterday. And DJ James Kennedy's like, I'm the top man, the number one sperm donor in the group. All right. Brian, the guy, says a lot of donors do tell us that it is in the desire of helping others, but I'm sure the cash helps as well. And Brian says that every donor makes its way into the program has a full psych evaluation. So I guess that actually throws out the men of Vanderpump Rules. They will not be able to participate if they do a psych evaluation. By the way, this Ken was frozen, but Ken would be a great I can't believe I donated sperm to Lala's baby. I can't believe that. But she says, the most important part of this process is the donor selection. And this, and Scheana's there to support her. And Brian thinks this will be an amazing story to tell. And, he's like, hey, I'm always going to do my best to make this very simple, very easy, exciting at the same time. I hope maybe there'll be a laugh along the way here and there. Who knows? I'm spelling a spin-off series of Who's Lala's Daddy coming this fall to Bravo TV. Anyways, Lala says this whole thing, getting pregnant, I'm going to be forming a family because right now I feel like I'm part of something that's broken. And Scheana is like, oh, it's obviously so much to think about, but at the end of the day, you're the most amazing mother. You're going to provide all of your babies the most amazing life. Lala's crying, wiping away the tears. And Lala in a talking head says, I pictured my life being like how I grew up, my mom and dad in the same household, but that didn't happen. And that's really fucking hard. She starts crying in her talking head. I felt like I deeply failed this innocent soul and it wasn't because of me. So I'm not risking that again. I mean, yeah, I hear what she's saying. And then, so that Brian leaves, the guy from the cryo bank, and they're just sitting in this cryo bank, like now it's like now it's a place for a scene. And Scheana's like, dude, the beach was so intense. So we go from this moment of kind of like beautiful, like this thing about like a very real thing about a family. And then Scheana's like, oh my God, that beach was insane the other day. Honestly, I'm still hung up on our conversation with Ariana. And Lala's like, right? How do you feel about it? And this would be a moment where I would think, like, hung up on the conversation. Like, do you mean that you're thinking about like how much sense Ariana made and like you understand completely where she's coming from? No, that is not what this is at the cryobank. Scheana's like, I'm just treading lightly with her now. Like, I don't want to upset her. And I was like, this is wild. Like, what are you treading lightly about? What are you like? You need to forgive Tom Sandoval. You need to move, like, all of these things. No one, like, people are treading even lighter around Tom Sandoval. Lala goes, I don't know if she's just trying to stand her ground, but she's not going to win this game. Like, so once again, in this episode, we have come to the conclusion that men will always win the game. Lala is one of the most powerful female cast members allegedly on this cast, and going, she's not going to win this game because men will always win. And that's what it feels like Lala is saying there. Lala goes, I don't know if she's just trying to stand her ground. It's very simple. Move out. It's like, I can't talk about it anymore. Really? You can't talk about it anymore? Okay. So you're getting tired of talking about it? Okay. Got it. Yeah. And I just, once again, you guys, explain, and I know somebody will, explain this to me like I am the man child that I actually am. Explain this to me. Is Lala trying to be a villain at this point? Like, how do you have this beautiful scene talking about your family, a very real thing, and then go to literally shitting on the person that cried on your shoulder the day before, who you were holding hands, nuzzling with? Oh my God. And now it's back to this. We don't need a villain, Lala. We have Sandoval right there. But you are literally like injecting yourself into this. And you're just like, oh my God. And Scheana's like, I know. What do you know? Like, what? No wonder there was a blow up at the reunion. This would be fucking painful to watch. I mean, it really would be painful to watch. And I hope, Scheana, come on. You don't think that's weird to watch that one scene where you're all like on her and like, encouraging her to open up. She cries, all of that stuff. And then this is what you get. Lala's like, you're choosing to stay in the house. I don't feel bad. I don't know. I don't know. It's like, we're supposed to have sympathy for Lala's situation, which she's still dealing with the repercussions. It's brought her to this cryo facility because she does not trust men at all because of what Randall did. Yet in the same scene, we are bad mouthing Ariana for standing her ground, for not just hightailing it, for making sure she is set up financially and set up in a place that she feels safe before she leaves. But no, Lala can't deal with it. Lala, it's too much. And I just feel like that's the kind of hypocritical scene that we've come to really know from Vanderpump Rules. And I know Lala doesn't care. Lala doesn't listen. It doesn't matter what anybody says. She's going to do what she does. But like, it's just, I think it's wildly disappointing as a viewer. And I don't know, like, maybe I'm watching the show wrong. I don't know. Anyways, Scheana's like, I think a big part of it is her pride. And she's like, well, I can't go into an apartment. And Lala's like, whoa, so hold on. Your pride is saved living with the man who cheated on you with your best friend? You have more pride moving to Sunset, living in a box? And Scheana's like, one day this will all be over. And whenever it is, it will make sense of why it took this long, you know? And Lala's like, I hope so. I just think this was one of the shittier scenes. And it was a beautiful scene before that I think as an audience, we all support. Like, you're like, hell yeah, get your family, girl. You are a great mother. And then to turn around, it's like, Lala, I mean, like, dude, she's an owner of that house. You can't. And also, Lala knows how the legal system works. And if you watch the after show too, it's like, even Ariana's like, yeah, Tom just expected me to like pack a bag and leave. That's what he really thought was going to happen. And I don't know. It just feels really shitty, that scene. And I know, God, I find it really, really shitty. And anyways, the song plays. Let's get into some fun stuff. Those pretty eyes, you got devil that you hide. I come alive, you make me feel alive. I turn you off so I don't have to hear your ring. Your lips are running, but I don't hear a thing. And Tommy Schwartz making his way to a place called Hair Boss to see Joe for an appointment. This hair boss might have to fire Joe after this bleach job. I will say what's funny is that, listen, look at my hair. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm a fuckwit when it comes to style, hair, any of that stuff. But I will say it is very funny reading the comments of people saying, this is not how you dye someone's hair. You don't do it at the root. What the fuck are you doing? Like, this was, I mean, shockingly, like there's a TikTok trend on TikTok of hairstylists, like when you're watching Vanderpump Rules and you're an actual hairstylist and watch this scene. So I'm actually kind of curious what Joe says about this, because it looks like she really fucked his hair and really fried it. But also, we had a great revelation later in this episode where DJ James Kennedy reveals that Schwartz, he's been dyeing his hair different shades of brown to cover the grays. And I was like, I had no clue about that. I didn't catch that at all. Amazing. Anyway, Schwartz is like, hello, Lena. Good to see you. Lena's the hair boss owner. And I don't think anybody's like made this connection yet. If you listen to Kristen Doute's podcast, Kristen Doute just revealed a couple weeks ago that Schwartz fucked Lena. Sorry, made love to Lena, Joe's boss. Joe slept with this girl as well. And gives Schwartz a hug. And she's like, good to see you. You look great. And he's like, well, you're not about to. Actually, I didn't mind the blonde. I thought it kind of looked cool, but people are, anyways. Schwartz is like, I miss your face. You look gorgeous. Like, yeah, I bet you do. Lena's like, Joe's ready for you. And Schwartz is like, you guys can do anything you want. Full midlife crisis. I rarely see you in action, Joe, except for in my bedroom. And Joe's like, well, you're going it right now. Sunset. And Schwartz is like, yeah, just do anything. And Joe's like, yeah, we're going to do something really fun. Are we going to bleach it? Yeah. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? It's not a big deal. Hey, what'd you do last night? Well, I went on a date. Yeah? Ooh, right. How'd that go? It was good. It was with Tori. And they show us a scene of Schwartz and Tori with Schwartz moving in for a kiss. And Joe is like, ha, where's this human coming from? I've never heard of this person. And It's so funny. I think, yeah, it is funny. It's like, I wonder if Joe gave him such a bad bleach job because he was talking about dating other girls. But Schwartz is like, oh, she's been very close to Scheana for like 10 years, like almost implying that like they're the same age. And it's like, no, like Tori was a little girl when Scheana was like, it was wild. And Joe's like, okay, well, I'd really like to know why the girls are allowing her to like quote unquote go on a date with you if she's in the friend group. And Schwartz is like, well, that's gone out the window. The whole don't violate the whole friend group. The game has changed ever since Katie and Max. The game, oh God, this is just. Joe goes, super close friend group, way more in the friend group than me. How come I'm getting all the hate? And Schwartz is like, here's another tidbit for you. She actually made out with my ex-wife the night before we went out on a date. What? Zoinks, what? And Schwartz is like, which is a little plot twist I didn't see coming. Yeah, you did. The moment camera, like, Joe's like, wait, what? How does that make you feel, bro? And Schwartz is like, it was bizarre. Just knowing the fact that she was playing tongue hockey with Maloney the night before. Well, actually, she's going on a date with Katie today. It is so weird, you guys. This storyline is so weird. We now go across to Katie's apartment across town, and I'm like, what in the fried green tomatoes hell is this? It's a painting date. Tori and Katie Maloney are sitting across from each other. And I'm like, why not crocheting? Let's blast some Kenny G and have a Pinot Grigio. And Tori's like, I'm looking at like this as like a masterpiece. It's literally just this. And anyways, they're just painting, like showing each other's paint. And talking about Bob Ross. Shout out to Bob Ross. I love you, man. Anyways, it's just weird. They're just a painting date. It's so weird. Go to Color Me Mine and make some pottery. We swap back to Schwartz, and Joe's like, ugh, so does she like you or Katie? And Schwartz is like, I think she prefers Katie. Also, this is so weird. It's like, Schwartz, if you think she prefers Katie, maybe like don't do the date. Oh, that's right. You're doing it for the show. Joe's like, good luck, bro. Brosif. I'm Joseph. You're Brosif. And Schwartz's hair is processing the blonde, and Joe's like, what are you doing tonight? And Schwartz is like, we're going to the Mondrian. It's a singles mixer. Tom didn't want to go alone. Oh, yeah? I want to go. And Schwartz kind of just hesitantly goes, you can come. Yeah? Well, you're going to show up with some pretty kick-ass hair. And Schwartz is like, yeah, and a kick-ass chick. Lena, look, by the way, the whole look at the people in the background because everybody in the shop looks concerned with what Joe is doing to Schwartz's head. And Lena comes over and goes, hey, how's it going over? How's the head doing? Schwartz is like, I'm actually burning now. It's like burning. And Lena's like, okay, should we check it, Joe? Should we check it? They take off the shower cap and his hair is white. And Schwartz is like, oh my God. And Joe's like, yeah, who are you? And Schwartz is like, this is serious. You look good, bro. Really? Yeah, it looks great. And Schwartz is like, Bieber-esque? And Joe's like, yeah, 100. Let's go to the bowl. And Schwartz is getting it washed. And he's like, it feels awesome. Do I look edgy? And Joe's like, you look like Eminem now. No. She goes, ready for the blue? And Schwartz is like, sure, I kind of like the orange, but I agree with your decision. And Joe's like, hey, you're going to love all of this idea. We're going to do your pubes next. And so Lena now is fully helping with this. I don't think Lena trusts Joe as a solo job anymore. And Joe's washing his hair again. And she's like a little boy, you look like alfalfa. And Schwartz is like, now I look brown again. Oh, I hate people who don't do hair. You don't need to worry. You're in good hands. Joseph's hands. Then we come back and a song plays is like, I'ma be the baddest. I'ma be the baddest. I'ma be the baddest. I'ma be the baddest that you ever done saw. And we get this shot. It's like straight out of Reservoir Dogs with like, just the girls walking in slow motion to this bar, the Foxfire Lounge, which is in the valley on, what is it? Like Magnolia and is it Woodman? Magnolia and I don't know. It's right across the street from a Ralph's, which is so funny to me for some reason. And they're all like dressed up and it's like slow motion walking down. And you got like Ariana and Katie. Lala's on the side of Ariana. Scheana's on the side of Katie. It's like they're walking into this dive bar. Foxfire Lounge, by the way, that's where Rachel and Joe and Sandoval and Schwartz, they all hung out there. A lot of BPR people hang out at Foxfire Lounge. And also, a nice little fun tip. One of my favorite movies, Magnolia from 1999, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. There's a great scene that was filmed at the Foxfire Lounge. So these girls are walking. It's girls' night. And Ariana's like, they sit down, but the shot was so extreme of these ladies just all decked out. Down, 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 down. And Ariana's like, hey, Katie, tell me how your date was. And Lala's like, wait, what is it? And Katie's like, a date? And Lala's like, who'd you go on a date with? And Katie's like, who do you think? And Lala laughs. She's like, I don't know. You're banging Max. And little Lala's like, yeah, you fuck Max. And Scheana's like, the same person that Schwartz went on a date with last night. And Lala's like, Tori? You went on a date with Tori? And Kate's like, she came over to my house. I love that. We fucking painted. Lala's like, was it weird the night before she was on a date with your ex-husband? And by the way, Lala, you should be thrilled that Katie did this because you're so worried about your show. You're so worried about the storylines on your show. So this has nothing to do with Ariana. Can you breathe a sigh of relief? No, she's questioning her about it, but I agree with Lala. It is really kind of weird. Katie goes, I mean, I stopped thinking about it. Yeah, but I don't know. And Lala's like, can't be any weirder than banging his best friend. And Katie goes, Tequila Katie's a hoe. He can have Joe. Oh my God. Is she about to rap? And she's like, there's no competition there. There really isn't. I'm telling you, there's Katie and Schwartz. Katie's going to throw down every time. We now go over to Sky Bar for this Hellfire mixer, singles mixer. And Joe arrives with Schwartz, and Schwartz is wearing a trucker's hat covering his new hair. And they order some drinks, and Schwartz is like, are they ready for the debut? And he takes off his hat, and his hair is just so blonde, shaved close around the sides and backward long on top. And it's a crazy mess sticking up. I don't mind it. I thought it was kind of cool, but like I said, don't trust me. Schwartz is like, I feel some kin energy. Shout out to the Barbie movie. And Joe's like, wow, okay. And he starts playing with it. No nails. Ready? And Schwartz, all blonde now, and a talking head goes, you know what they say, blondes have more fun. I gotta say, so far, it's ringing true for me. Sandoval arrives with Kyle Chan and Sandoval's new assistant, Craig. Juliana in the notes calls him Tattoo Craig because he looks just like I thought legitimately it was one of like Tom's band members or just like Tom's like cool friend. I was like, oh, how haven't I ever noticed this guy? No, it's his assistant that hangs out with him at singles mixers. Make it make sense. I was like, what in the Adam Levine hell is this? And Santa was like, whoa, dude, I just thought your hair was really short on the thighs. I didn't see the dye job. And Schwartz is like, I wanted to mix it up and reinvent myself a little bit, like Lady Gaga. And Schwartz continues in a talking head, I've been a little more upbeat, a little more pizzazz. And Joe is sitting cross-legged and sucking on a lollipop. She's like, I love it. It's so sexy. And she's like kind of touching him and rubbing his back and, kind of very possessive. Schwartz finishes in a talking head going, I'm embracing my pre-midlife crisis moment. Bro, we're not pre. We are smack dab in the middle of it. So Sandoval sucking on a lollipop. The ladies love it when I suck on a lollipop. And he's like, are you going to be social? Are you guys going to be social? And Schwartz is like, yeah. You guys are both single, right? And Joe's like, yeah. And Schwartz is like, 100%. I went on a date last night. And Joe keeps just like touching Schwartz's hair, is like yanking on it. And Sam's like, oh, you did? With who? And Schwartz is like, me and Tori. Oh, she graduated high school? We went out and got dinner. Joe's still pulling his hair with the lolly in her mouth. And Schwartz is like, she's weird. Kyle Chan, Sandoval, and the new assistant are all watching as Joe just keeps fingering Schwartz's hair nonstop. Sandoval in a talking head, he's like, Schwartz and Joe are on two different pages. Joe is looking at their situationship as a glass half full relationship. And Schwartz, just being Schwartz, is going to give off mixed signals. Part of his like superpower. He's so charming all the time, dude. Okay, so Sandoval does know how relationships work. He does understand the intricacies of this situation, yet he cannot open it to himself. Is that what we're to believe? Schwartz is like, Joe, can you not? And Joe's like, no, sorry, it looks good. It's my work. And Schwartz is like, I know. But Joe's like, okay, you're going to make it look bad, though. And what Schwartz is like, the hidden meaning there is that Joe fingering his hair the whole time is going to make him look bad to the single ladies. Even Kyle Chan pipes up and goes, that's not going to get him girls, We bought back over to girls' night, and Lala's like, well, I had lunch at a hot dog stand with Joe yesterday. And Scheana's like, wait, how did that go? And Katie looks really confused. And she's like, wait, what is this? And Ariana's like, babe, spill the tea. What the heck? And Lala's like, yeah, I'm just now telling you. And Katie's like, how did this happen and why? And I feel like the answer should be like, well, we're on a show called Vanderpump Rules and production wanted me to do it. I'm kind of a production pet right now. Lala goes, she's apparently wanted to share her side of things and I'm open to all sides. And Katie's like, you don't have any relationship with this girl. You don't know this girl. This girl's nothing to you. I'm something to you. So why you got to go like feel bad for this chick? And Lala's like, well, I went and had a conversation. You act like I told her to come swimming with my child. I please don't have that scene of Vanderpump Rules. Yeah. So Katie's like, why? And Lala goes, because she reached out to me and said, I would like to have this conversation with you. And Katie's like, why? And Lala's like, it doesn't matter. Lala on a talking head goes, Joe is fucking harmless. Everybody says Joe is fucking harmless. I understand what you think. I understand what you mean, but Joe is not harmless. Like, yes, I feel bad for Joe, but Joe 100% went for Schwartz with hoping to be with Schwartz. That is not harmless. She's lied for Schwartz. She's done wild things. She's trying to put herself directly in the friend group, wants to be on the show. Like, talk to Doute. Knows this show in and out. She is not harmless. I feel a lot of empathy, and I did feel really bad for her because at the end of the day, Schwartz does not want to be with her. And Schwartz is such a dum-dum and should have cut that relationship off a long time ago. But she's not harmless. I'm so sorry if that's an unpopular opinion. She's not. She doesn't seem like someone who's trying to roll up in here and va-voom, fuck your man. Like, she just doesn't seem that way. When I say vaginas just don't fall on dicks, I actually think with Joe and Schwartz, vaginas may just fall on dicks. I think that's such a... Lala goes, Schwartz gave her my name to reach out. I like how Schwartz is like giving people of like, well, Joe, you could like reach out to Lala. Here's her numbers. Maybe production can help. And Katie's like, what? Why? Because I'm soft right now, Katie. Lala goes, because I'm soft, you son of a bitch. So he has a girl who's his girlfriend. I don't fucking know that I've met. And I see my other friend calling her a crackhead, which by the way, folks, I did find on Joe's Instagram. I did look at this because I think it was Jolene Lunzer that told me that Joe initially was the one that called herself a crackhead initially. And I found it. December 9th, 2019, Joe posts photos of herself making weird faces as a kid and now and goes, so I'm not a crackhead. I just always make the same face. This is before Katie gave the crackhead comment. So Joe was calling herself a crackhead in her Instagram posts before Katie said that. So I think Katie got that potentially from Joe because they were following each other on Instagram back then. Joe called herself a crackhead. I just thought that was interesting. Katie's like, Schwartz is whatever, and I'm the bad one. And Lala's like, you're not the bad one at all. And Katie's like, okay, Lala. And Lala's like, you're treating me like I'm the bad one. And Katie's like, I'm responding to what you said. And Lala's like, I barely see Schwartz. Katie's like, it's not making a lot of sense. And Lala goes, I don't care. It's not my job for my life to make sense to you. That's Lala's big thing. When she's pressed on anything, she defaults to I don't care. Like, she's getting a lot of heat right now. She tells the podcast, I don't care. I don't care. I think Lala cares very, very much. I think Lala's doing what it takes to survive and thrive. And I think, like I've said, every recap this season, I think Lala has a huge future ahead of her. And I think, I think she wants to be in that vein of, I don't know. I'm really curious where she sees her life outside of reality shows of what she wants, because I think, her podcast very successful. I think she could be, she looks up to like Heather McDonald. I think she wants to be kind of that. And I think she could be that. I don't know. I'm really curious about where we go, where Lala wants to go from here. Also, speaking about Lala and Schwartz, it shows you how reality shows you can get whiplash in terms of relationships and where people are at with each other. This is one from one of my favorite Instagram accounts, by Wig Hello Drama. Great Instagram account. And they do a lot of hard work about going and finding scenes and stuff. But this was a scene from Vanderpump Rules season 10 at the very beginning when Lala confronted Schwartz for playing pickleball with one Randall Emmett. And this is a really fascinating scene to me. Let me go here.
From my point of view, it seems absurd. And cheating is horrible, but you completely cut me out of your life for hanging out with someone 7 months afterwards.
And I don't ask for much, Schwartz. I would never, over cheating, say you cannot hang out with someone. I thought on the rooftop, I was very clear. I'm going into something that is going to be life-changing for me. And if you don't want to be on my team, that's fine, but I can't have you around me.
I'll be honest, the fact that you wanted to have a meeting, it felt a little egocentric to me.
For you to say that that was ego-driven, that's up, and you better take that back.
I won't take it back. Because from my point of view, it felt like that.
Well, from my point of view, you're weak.
You're weak.
If anybody else was put in my situation right now, this would take them the out. I wake up every day, I provide for my kids. I'm paying out the ass for these lawyers. I'm not a weak bitch.
When I hung out with Randall, it was not malicious. What you sent me via text, it was malicious. You took a dig at my marriage. You said I don't associate with weakness.
Right.
You stand by that?
I don't associate with weakness.
Like, who the do you think you are? All of a sudden, I'm not spending the rest of my life with the woman I love. We're not going to have kids. We're not going to grow old together. I'm not, like, worried about what's going on in Lala's life, to be frank. That really hurt my feelings when you said that. That's probably the lowest point of my entire life. It really hurt my feelings.
Well, I apologize for my timing. I have to make a stand. You choose me, or you're my enemy. With this, it is black and white. You gotta pick a side.
You don't think that sounds absurd?
I'm taking no prisoners. Like, this is what it is. This is the year of burning bridges, and I'm okay with that.
So maybe this is the year of burning bridges for Ariana, but that's it's interesting that we have 10 seasons of documented scenes with all of these people and all of these relationships, and where she took such a hardcore stance with Schwartz, but now she's fine with Schwartz. But also the year of burning bridges, like maybe that's how Ariana needs to approach it, of like, it is black and fucking white. You choose, you pick a side, black and white. But she didn't do that. She just very meekly said, listen, I'm just not going to put myself in that position to be hurt again or be around people that I don't want him to know about my life. I don't want that. But like when Lala does it, it's fine. But when I don't know, I'm just so confused about this. So thank you for being my therapist, you guys. Anyways, so back in this fight, and you know, Katie's like, it's not making a lot of sense. And Lala goes, I don't care. It's not my job for my life to make sense to you. And Katie's like, well, I like people that are consistent. Once again, Katie always kind of like, you might not like Katie, you might like her as a person, but she has always been saying the same thing. And Scheana's like, well, I think she's been pretty fucking consistent for you, Katie. Thank you, Scheana. Wouldn't it be amazing once? Like, this is the season I want. And I think when this season happens, and hopefully it's next season, Scheana will be a fucking hero and star. Like, I want Scheana to take a stand for what Scheana feels and not be, you know, I don't need her to be Ariana's lackey. I don't need her to be Lala's lackey. I know Scheana has a total point of view, and I don't want it to be influenced by anyone. Tom Sandoval. I want Scheana to be like, this is how I fucking feel. And it's the year of burning bridges for me. But Scheana is so nice deep down, and she does want, even if you don't believe it, everybody to be happy. And so she does ride that fence sometimes, or at least that's how the edit makes it out to be so many seasons in a row. But I would love for once for Scheana to be like, I don't care. I don't need any of this. I got a fucking family. I'm like, you know, like I'm reality show gold, baby. Like I want that for Scheana. Katie's like, well, it doesn't feel like consistent to me. And Lala goes, you weren't best friends with Joe. You weren't best friends with Raquel. You're still holding on real tight. At some point, you got to let it go. And if you want to hold on to it, that's on you. I wish you the best. Hope all is good with you. The softer side of Lala Kent. And Katie stays quiet, just digesting what she's heard. Ariana just staring in disbelief. By the way, Lala, you should be happy. Ariana, nothing was about her in this scene. Over at Sky Bar, the singles, the women's are out there ready to mingle. And the women are like, hi guys, how are you? Welcome to Singles LA. Everybody single here? And Schwartz is like, yes, well, he may not be. And Kyle, they're talking about Kyle Chan. And the woman's like, that's why we have this system. Green is for single. Yellow's for the if you're open. Then if you're the wingman, you get a red one. It's like little stickers. This feels like an STD test. And Joe's like, let's do it. And now they go hunting. I'm sorry, dating. And Kyle goes, find anybody you like? And Schwartz is like, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't even see. It's not my fault, whatever happens at this point. And Kyle's like, you need to be not always with Joe. And Schwartz is like, I know. And Kyle's like, how are you going to find a girl? And Schwartz is like, did we lose Tom already? And Sandoval's out there talking with a couple girls. He's like, and by the way, girls, I always said this back in the day when people were sleeping with Tristan Thompson, stop sleeping with Tom Sandoval, stop sleeping with Tom Schwartz. Like it just like we can say all this shit till we're blue in the face, but they're not going to back off. They're not going to not sleep with you. They're not going to make the right decisions for themselves. Men, a lot of us, including we do not make the right decisions a lot of the time. We're fucking dolts. Like truly. So you can't just then still be willing to throw yourself at these people just because they're on TV. Like it sucks. It sucks that you have to be the bigger person in the situation, but we see these girls just lining up. This one girl with Tom is like, I like when men can wear women's jewelry like a pearl necklace. I'm like, girl, you're about to be in heaven. And Sandoval goes, I wear a lot. He goes, I wear a lot of I wear a lot of women's. I wear a lot of all my blouses are from Zara. You wear I wear a lot. Actually, I wear a lot of women's stuff. And girl number one goes, you got very nice style. You got very nice style. Go, thank you. If you like that. I'm wearing a training bra right now. You've got nice style. Thank you, dude. Thank you. Do you know I have a pool? Schwartz in a scene goes, hi, I'm Tom. And this girl's like, I'm Gabby. And Schwartz is like, what's up, Gabby? And Kyle is the wingman. Kyle's like, are you here for yourself or are you here with him? And Gabby's like, no, that's just my friend. And Schwartz is like, do you want a drink? And she's like, yeah, let's do a shot. And he's like, whoa, straight to the point. Schwartz knows. He's like, easy pickings. And Gabby goes, let me see your hair, Tom. Can I have your hat? And he's wearing the hat and Schwartz hesitates. And Gabby demands, goes, put it on my head. And Schwartz is like, for now, can I get it back later? And Joe's watching this whole exchange. It's like, ooh. Schwartz is like, only because this is a sentimental hat. You can keep it, actually. I have more. Like, how did it go from all of a sudden there's a sentimental hat, but you can keep it? And Joe comes up and goes, yeah, you gave her your hat? I'm the only one that wears your hats. And Schwartz is like, yeah. And Joe's like, oh no, you don't have another one. And Schwartz is like, I have a bunch in my storage unit, 70. And Joe goes, oh, good. Oh, good. And Schwartz is like, I know, I do have a ton. And Joe puts her hands up in the air and goes, woo. And Schwartz is like, where's Sandoval? Cut back to Sandoval. Girl number 2 is like, do you have any tattoos? Are you a tattoo guy? And Sandoval's like, I do, actually. It's a flaming A on my ass. My stupid roommate who never wiped herself, is her name Ariana, the first name letter of the alphabet. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the alphabet A. And the girls laugh. And, then Sam was like, hey, well, it's pretty stupid, right? What are your opinions on pins and batteries, right? No, and Kyle Chan's like, what's the complicated situation, Schwartz, with you and Joe? And Schwartz is like, no, it's not complicated. And Gabby's like, are you single? And Schwartz is like, yeah. And Gabby's like, are you sure? Positive. And then Gabby's like, then kiss me. And Kyle's like, oh. And Schwartz whispers to Gabby, I'm a makeout slut. Listen, you can't tell. He warns everybody. He truly is. And Gabby whispers back, goes, you've never kissed anyone like me. And Schwartz is like, ha, 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 ha. Oh my God. Ready? Schwartz is like, girl, I've kissed everybody. Gabby sticks her tongue out and ends up to reach Schwartz, and Joe is looking on, smiling. And Gabby's like, no, that was not a kiss. And she grabs his neck to pull him back. And George is like, wait. Oh, and Gabby's like, that's not a fucking kiss. Look at me. And Joe walks up and goes, what in tarnation? And George is like, oh my God. And Joe smiling goes, ha, I'm headed out. Enjoy. And George is like, hey. Joe in the talking head goes, I was under the impression that we were here to support Tom Sandoval. And then when we got here, he was interested in other women. Turns out he's a guy. And Gabby goes, he's shy. Joe continues in a talking head goes, I mean, what am I? Chopped liver, you know? So finally, she admits that what we all know is that, yes, she definitely does want this man. She wants this man, period. Point blank. And she continues to put herself in these situations. But more importantly, Schwartz allows herself to be in these situations. And it sucks. And Joe turns to go and goes, bye, yuck. And Schwartz is like, yeah, great. Joseph, Schwartz in a talking head is like, maybe it's not realistic to be as close as me and Joe are and go out and date other people, hang out with other people, have sex with other people. I don't know. I'm a little baby man. I'm like starting to wonder if she's in a little deeper than I am, you know? Yeah, we know Schwartz. And Schwartz is like, she's not my girlfriend at all. See, look, I'm single. And he pulls up the green sticker. And Gabby's like, yep, doesn't look like it. And Schwartz is like, no, I am single. And Joe walks out and goes, gross. Joe in a talking head goes, I know the truth. And the truth is we are still hooking up. We've said, I love you to each other. It bothers me that he doesn't want to share this relationship with his friends. So that's the other thing, is that Joe is not being hid from his friends. It's the fact that they're still hooking up they're still doing the hippity dippity. Because, yeah, like he's bringing Joe out. They all know Joe. They all see Joe everywhere. The big piece of information is that they are hooking up still all of these times. That's a huge piece of information. It's huge. And Schwartz is like, I just want to make sure Joe's okay. And Gabby's like, she'll be okay. And Joe finishes her talking head and goes, I'm tired of feeling like a secret. And I think that's the thing is like, she's not a secret. She's around. The secret part is they are currently hooking up. And Joe walks out of the Sky Bar and is like, I hate this. And this is like a similar reaction to the last time she was at Hotel Ziggy on the Sunset Strip, but it was because the girls were making fun of her. So Joe is getting it from the girls, getting it from Schwartz, and she's put herself in a very frustrating position. And Schwartz has put her in that position as well. So now we are finally at Paintball Day. We don't need this scene at all. This is dumb as hell. Shooting people with paintballs. Okay, Paintball Day. So all the guys are getting there and girls as well. And Brock is like, well, I'm definitely underdressed for today. I've got my thin little bungee smugglers. You can see my balls hanging out. Let's do some paintballs. I got my big old tree trunk legs. And James arrives with Ali Bally. And James is like, paintball time. Let's go. Guys Day. And Schwartz is like, Lala. And Lala's like, when did you do that to your hair? And Schwartz is like, I don't know. I just woke up like this. And Lala was like, was it to hide the grays? And Schwartz is like, no. And James is like, I thought maybe you got sick of dyeing it like the wrong brown. So you're like, fuck it, I'm going to bleach it. In a talking head, James is laughing. He's like, oh, am I the only person that realizes that Schwartz has been covering his gray hairs? The shades of the brown. It's getting more intense. But you're definitely not going to see any gray hairs when they're all bleached blonde, are you? And they show a montage of all Schwartz's brown. I never even noticed this, but he's dead on right. The only funny thing, though, is in DJ James Kennedy's talking head, his hair color is different. And I'm like, you probably know it because you're doing the same damn thing. Like DJ James Kennedy's hair is like all wonky now. But I never knew that. I never knew that that Schwartz was dyeing his hair. That honestly, I don't know. That was the big revelation. That shocked me bigger than Sandoval. Sandoval's like, "What's up, Scheana?" Tom fully dressed up like an evil superhero. He's got like all the like accoutrement. He's like that guy that goes to the paintball store. And he's like, "Give me one of everything, dude. I have money to burn." She was like, "Hi," and Sandoval's like, "How's it going?" And she's like, "Good. How are you? You guys playing today?" And she's like, "No, I'm not playing. I'm just here for moral support. I had no idea this was outdoor. I assumed we'd be like indoor, AC, more of like a laser tag situation." And Lala's like, "Oh no, this is paintballing, bitch." And little Lala's like, "Yeah, bitch." and they show a desolate landscape, dry, brown, with rusty old Jeeps and burned out camper vans and barrels. This actually takes me back to that scene from many seasons ago when Ariana was going like through some really emotions around her birthday and her dad, and Sandoval like wants to go to Vegas to like smash cars. He's like, but they're like, you smash cars. You smash cars with big other cars, and like you're like, oh, don't go, dude. Like he's like, but it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to smash cars, dude. Anyways, they're like, you guys ready? Everybody go. Tattoo Craig, the new assistant, is there as well. Anne missed out on paintballing and singles night. And Matt, the combat ref is like, you're going to have to maybe get some facial reconstruction if something hits you. If it breaks your, it rips your nose, it can knock your teeth out. And Scheana whispers, it doesn't seem fun to me. I mean, Sheena's already lost a tooth, you know what I'm saying? And we do have rattlesnakes out there. And DJ James Kennedy's like, there's what? Zoinks! Matt's like, yeah, snakes. And he's like, are there worms with mustaches? Oh my God. But he's like, when you get hit with a paintball, it breaks on your body. You're out. Any questions? And Sheena's like, are they picking teams? Are there team captains? Can I be one? And Allie's like, I have to know who's on whose team. Sandoval points to James. He's like, you're one, dude. I'm two. And James is like, yeah. Sandoval points to the people playing. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I learned this trick on Special Forces on Fox where I took Jojo Siwa down, dude. James raises his arms like, if you've got your number, I'm number one guy in the group. Anyways, the team one, James is the captain. Team two, Sandoval's the captain. But all I'm concentrating on Brock's little short shorts. Who wears short shorts? It's me, Brock. I do. There. Sandoval's like, yeah, guys, I've got bandanas. I brought them for everybody. Listen to me for a second, okay? Do not get in groups. Spread the fuck out, dude. Let's do this. And Schwartz to his team is like, we can just chill. No, he goes, Sandoval's cold-blooded. He takes this shit seriously. Scheana's watching, and she's like, Sandoval's like a professional over here. Sandoval's holding up his gun. He's like, I got hit on my shoe, dude. And Scheana's like, have they started shooting yet? And Lala's like, yeah, I hear them. There's a lot of shooting and moving and just boy shit. And Lala's like, such a weird group today, right? Can we bitch about Ariana for a little bit? And she's like, there's 12-year-olds here. One of them said he's 23 and he met Sandoval and they go out together. So Sandoval makes friends I like that Sandoval has this other life where he's just like paintballing on his days off. I like that. Scheana goes, I hang out with Tori. She's 24. And Lala goes, it's a little weird. Did you stay after girls' night? And she was like, no, I left right when you left. You parked in the front. I parked in the back. And Lala goes, the energy just kind of took a turn. And I was like, yeah, you completely got defensive when Katie was asking you about Joe. And she was like, yeah, I was not trying to stay and hang out. And then she turns to Allie. She and Katie kind of got into it at girls' night. And Lala's like, we've been getting into it a lot. Also, it is fine to not hang out with people. It is fine to not be friends with people. I think my problem with Lala too is that then she just constantly talks shit about them in the press. Like, there is something to be said for the softer side and a healing journey where you keep other people's names out of your mouth and realize life's hard and you just choose not to hang out with them. But she's on a reality show. I don't know. It's difficult. Anyways, Allie's like, what happened this time? And she goes, well, she got really upset with her for going to lunch with Joe and not telling her and for just going in general. And Allie's like, you went to lunch with Joe? And Lala goes like, yeah, we grabbed a hot dog. And Allie's like, how is she? Because I'm glad you did. I felt bad. I wondered where she's been. And Lala goes, Joe's a little hard to follow. She's kind of all over the place. I didn't really put her on the spot and I didn't want to overwhelm her. And I was like, yeah. And Lala goes, but talking to Katie, she got really upset. And she said, I like loyalty. And Scheana's like, and consistency. And Lala's like, and consistency. And I'm like, hold the fuck up. First of all, loyalty coming from the girl who just fucked her ex's best friend. And Scheana's like, I love the way this is framed. What about Schwartz's best friend fucked his ex-wife? Why is it just so funny, man? Lala's like, and they're lucky they didn't care. And it's very clear that I know that my friend is unhappy. I know she's been unhappy for a long time. And I've tried to like baby her, but I'm not going to be on the receiving end of you going crazy. I don't know if I would love to see more scenes of Lala. What is babying Katie? Does that just mean being nice to Katie? What does that mean? Katie doesn't seem like someone who needs to be babied. She seems pretty standoffish most of the time. Katie seems like somebody that's used to people not liking her. And I truly believe Katie doesn't care anymore. Like, she really seems relatively unaffected. She's not like kowtowing to Lala. Like she does stand up for herself. And I think sometimes that's very threatening to Lala because Lala does go every which way, you know? Anyways, they're just fighting in the background. Pop, 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 pop. And then we cut to another beautiful day in LA. We breeze over to Schwartz's apartment in the old Valley Village. And the camera shows us little details laying around the apartment. There's a handwritten yellow sticky post-it that says, "You make me happy." And that's hard to do. I'm guessing that's from Joe. And it's laying next to a Joe My Gosh bracelet. A white paper with a handwritten "Love You, Dad" hanging on the fridge with a Wisconsin magnet, and a Polaroid picture of Joe also hanging on the fridge. And Joe's like, "Okay, you ready, Butters?" And she blows a little whistle that sounds like a bird that confuses Butters. And Schwartz walks in the door. So it's weird. Joe is there like doing dishes. And I don't know if Joe still lives there or what the deal is. And Schwartz is like, "Jesus, oh, that's the most normal thing I ever walked into." And Joe's just loading the dishwasher. And Joe's like, "You been juicing?" And Schwartz is like, "Yeah, I've been juicing my balls off." And Joe laughs. And Schwartz is like, "Yep. Hey, the producers are making me have this scene with you. And I don't want to because I would just let it keep going forever. But what happened the other night? I'm a little confused. Am I sending you mixed signals? Is it my dick in your vagina? Could that be doing it constantly? Because I know we have such a good time together and we have this undeniable chemistry." And Joe is just staring at him and puts her hands up like she goes, "Arr!" She puts her hands up like claws and bares her teeth like, "Arr!" And Schwartz throws it all up and goes, "That being said, I don't want to be in a relationship at all." I love that like Joe does a tiger pose and Schwartz just keeps going. Like it's totally normal. And Schwartz is like, "I want to date people that don't kill turtles." No, I'm still thinking about that Joe story from a couple episodes ago where she killed the turtle as a kid. Schwartz is like, "I want to date other people. I am dating other people. I get numbers. I hook up with people. 3 girls are in my closet right now." And Joe's like, "Correct." And Schwartz is like, "But I can't date anybody." And Joe's like, "Can you imagine how I feel after being like around you for the past year and a half?" And Schwartz is like, "Yeah." And Joe's like, "We have been there for each other." And Schwartz laughs and goes, "Ha, we have, but I know." And Joe's like, but, shut the fuck up. Are you embarrassed by me?" And Schwartz is like, "No, not at all, Joseph. My God, people are saying that you're saying behind closed doors that we're secretly dating. Or is it okay that we keep I love?" And Joe's like, "No, it's not." And Schwartz is like, "Okay, then that's okay. Then maybe we need to maybe we need to not hang out as much." He won't look at her when he says this. And Joe's like, "Or at all." And Schwartz is like, "Well, that's fine too. I mean, yeah." And I think, Joe, that's great. That's the yes. If you want something, and if like that's at the end of the day, that's what you want to be with Schwartz. And you know that he's not going to don't stay around for that. Like, just don't. Because Schwartz is not going to be that person that like shuts it down completely, And like Schwartz grabs his hair and pulls on it, which can't be good for the blonde. And Schwartz in a talking head's like, to hear her say it's kind of like gut wrenching a little bit, Me and Joe have had like this fantastic voyage full of compassion, support, maybe even love. It'd be a fucking tragedy if we just sort of never hung out or never talked again. And Schwartz sits on the sofa and is like, maybe sometimes it's mixed signals because we have a fucking good time together. I just want to have fun. And Joe sits too. And he's like, we get it. We get it. And Schwartz is like, I don't want to send mixed signals. And Joe's like, we get it. And Schwartz is like, but I just can't. And Joe's like, would you say that we probably have a really weird connection? Because everyone else sees it. And Schwartz is like, yeah, we do, which is such a sad line because she's saying like, everybody else thinks that we potentially could be together. Why can't you? And Joe's like, it's so easy. You know what I mean? Like us together we'd be disgustingly ugly and old. So like, it's like Joe's picturing them getting old together and Schwartz laughs and Joe's like, and laughing and all those things. And Schwartz is like, yeah, we would. And Joe's like, do you agree? And Schwartz is like 100%. And Joe's like, yeah. So that's why I need to take some time because deep down, I do have feelings for you. And Schwartz is twisting his hair, just it's falling out everywhere. And he's like, yeah, same with me. But it's not that I'm denying them. And Joe's like, I'm not asking you to explain to me. And Schwartz is like, I know in my heart. And Joseph, and she starts crying. Don't cry, Joseph. And Joe's tearing up. And it's, it's like, it's nothing wrong. It's just that I'm being honest with you, Schwartz. And Schwartz is like, I love that. I love when you're honest with me. And Joe's like wiping away tears. She's like, it's like, I would never pressure you. You know that. And Schwartz is like, no, I never felt pressure. And Joe's like, I always let you do you. And Schwartz is like, yeah. And I let you do you. But here's the problem, folks, is that that is true. Schwartz lets her do her, but the only her that Joe wants to do is the her with Schwartz. Like her doing, like you doing you to Joe means her being with Schwartz. Like Schwartz is on this whole other path of what he wants his life to be. And, the path that Joe wants to be on is the Schwartz path. So Schwartz letting Joe be Joe is not going to do anything because Joe wants to be with Schwartz. And Joe's like, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's the most amazing thing that we have. And like laughter and the banter and shit and me ruining your hair. But I'm just saying, I'm going to miss that. And Schwartz is like, yeah. And Joe's like, and I think that only comes around once in a while. And it's okay for us to just say, well, maybe we'll find it somewhere else, And Schwartz says solemnly, yeah. Joe in a talking head sitting cross-legged goes, it's really hard. I just want him to be happy, massively. He's my favorite person in the world, and I don't care what he says about me, but that's the goddamn truth. I think the world of him. I mean, she did like a lovely Instagram post, like shouting the praises of Schwartz a couple weeks ago. Joe begins to cry harder, and Schwartz is like, Joseph, here, take Butters. Like, here, I'll give you my dog. And Joe gets up, and she goes, I want to call my dad, and walks out of the apartment. And Schwartz goes to the door. It's like, Joseph. I got to tell you, in 11 seasons of Vanderpump Rules, that might be one of the top 10 really fucked up, sad, realistic moments of somebody saying, I want to call my dad. Like that was brutal, of somebody at an emotional place getting so frazzled by a situation where they're just like, I want to call my dad. Like, to me, that was so real. And it was so real. And, but Schwartz going to the door and like, Joseph, I know he feels like, oh, I've got to check on her. But like, no, man, you got to let her go. You got to let her figure it out. And that's the hard thing is that, it's hard. You don't want people to be mad at you, but it's like, Schwartz is never going to be able to give Joe what she ultimately wants. And Joe has spent so much time convincing herself and fooling herself that Schwartz eventually will be with her. And it just never was going to happen. Never. And it's a bummer, right? Like that is a bummer. So many people have been in that situation. It's a real massive bummer. And the song plays over it very heavy handed. Like the song lyrics are you sorry? Are you sorry? You're trying to let me down. Let me down. And they show Polaroids of Schwartz and Joe on the fridge. And that's the end of the episode. And it's wild. Like that is, it's really sad, and then, it really was a bummer. It was a very sad way to end that episode. What a weird episode. So many things didn't fit together. There were like cringy moments. It is interesting when Sandoval almost takes a back seat to the narrative structure. You realize what a non-entity sometimes Sandoval can be. Like you're like, oh yeah, he's just like another guy. And I don't know. I think, yeah, I felt really bad for Joe, but I will say Joe did willingly put herself in that situation. Like, the big shocker was that they were still sleeping together. I didn't know that. I thought it happened like in the beginning, like a year and a half ago, and then just stopped and they were just buddies. But no, it was like continually happening. And that's the part that Schwartz didn't show on camera. And that's like the bummer of that whole thing. So that's it. Now on the after show, yeah, we keep on going over here. The after show, it's just such a goof fest. Sandoval is, talking about the furniture, and Ariana's talking about it and going like, hey, looking at the credit card receipts, it did say that I paid for most of the stuff in the house of my own credit card receipts. And Sandoval's making it out like I don't pay for anything. I don't do anything. It's really hard. Like with any kind of narrative storytelling structure, Sandoval can say something or anybody can say anything in the show, and then we just believe it. But then you have the after show where it's like, no, these are my credit card receipts. I've paid for everything. So it's like narratives are really dangerous. Like listening to other people that don't have a great track record of telling the truth. It's like, you shouldn't take that as gospel. You gotta, but it's hard. Like I almost feel frustrated that some of this stuff is on the after show. I wish it was on the main show because not everybody sees the after show. But Sandoval in his little scene, he's like, I don't see the point of donating furniture, like giving it away. Like, the response to my offer for the house said she'll take whatever she wanted and then just donate the rest. And it's like, no, you will not take that mirror, dude. I got that mirror at HG Buttercups with 2 to 3 rugs, and I bought the mirror on that same day. I love those mirrors. Of course, Tom Sandoval would love a mirror. Of course. And he's like, I paid for that bed, dude. I put a safe in it. I paid for that custom credenza, and I put a refrigerator in it. Like, I love that all of his, like, the stuff he paid for, it's all like contraptions and like booby. I keep my samurai swords in there, dude. And Ariana says to Katie in her scene, is like, I think he just thought I would pack a backpack and just go. And Katie's like, man, the lies he tells himself. He looks at himself as, I think, like, it's like weird. Sandoval sometimes weirdly thinks of himself as solo instead of as part of a team in the past. So he's like, I did this. He tells the guys, he's like, yeah, we're going to figure it out with some sort of judgment, without any sort of judgment. I don't want this to be, he actually says, I don't want this to be hard on her in terms of like divvying up stuff. You don't want this to be hard on her? Like, let's just rewind like 30 seconds ago. He's like, I gave her a top dollar market value offer, dude. Ariana says in her scene, she's like, when your own best friend is a real estate agent and says the best thing to do is to sell the house, you're probably the problem. And this is in regards to Tom Sandoval. It's like, that's what they were recommended to do, but he's holding on to this. And Katie's like, yeah, that's his smash pad, bro. I think it is weird. Like Sandoval, there is a like world in which you could get a new awesome place that didn't attach to any of those memories that you had. I do understand that it is a little insulting. It's like, for all intents and purposes, this was this home you created together. I can see the point of Ariana, and I can see you wanting to stay there, but it almost seems lazy in a way. And it really almost seems like so disingenuous and so unemotional. And like, it's almost a bigger slap in the face of like, no, I could keep fucking here, dude. This is a fuck pad. Like, he already fucked Raquel there when she was like, Ariana was upstairs. Like, why couldn't, it's just weird. It's real. That's really dark. That's sociopathic. Lala is in a scene with Brittany on the after show and talking about meeting up with Joe. And said Katie was livid. And I was like, Katie, that's Katie being livid. Katie was literally just going like, why, what? Katie didn't even raise her voice in that scene. Lala did, but Lala was like, Katie was livid. And Lala says, everyone has a right to feel how they want to feel. And I have every right to not care how you feel. And she's like, I've been a dog in everyone's fight. No one's been there for me. And I'm like, that's so not true. That is so not true. You've been a dog you've been a dog in everyone's fight. Like to the point where you're like, you don't like literally have any loyalty to everyone. And I feel like I've seen so many scenes of people standing up for Lala. I mean, I remember when like Stassi and Katie and all those girls were picking on Lala the first seasons. And when Ariana was standing up for her, I remember those scenes, like people have stood up for Lala many times on this show. And Brittany's just laughing at Lala popping off. She's like, they talk about embracing Lala's softer side. And, they ask Katie and Ariana about Lala's softer side. And Katie's like, well, you're not being soft with me or Ariana. You're being quite the opposite. And she's like, I think she wants to embrace that. But that has to come from a healing journey. So Katie's like, I agree with Lala. I think she wants to do that, but that has to come from a healing journey. It's a very personal journey. And you'll never truly be in on a healing journey. Oh, no, I wrote, you'll never be truly in on a healing journey on a reality show. It's not possible. I firmly believe that you will never be able to show an authentic healing journey on a reality show because reality shows revolve around conflict. So it's almost impossible to have a healing journey on a reality show. And if you had a true healing journey on a reality show, it'd be boring as fuck because it's so personal that no one would understand it. You've seen like little like bits and pieces of people improving themselves, but a pure healing journey. And if you really were on one, you wouldn't want to be on a reality show. So the other thing that's weird about all of this is Lala. I think they even talk about in the, what's weird is the girls are like, it's weird about Lala because she's so warm, and that's the conundrum. And that's the thing is that like, I think Lala, like even outside of the show, one of the nicer people you will probably ever meet. I mean, so charming, so, just, I don't know. So sometimes it feels a little forced on the show, but also they're like, why are you always overextending yourself? And I think she's overextending herself because she is trying to make this show work. And I feel like that is disingenuous in terms of the show, but a great reality show character. I mean, listen, I've talked about her majority of this. I mean, it's very fascinating. I just don't love the way she's moving this season, but I also think Lala thinks she can make anything work. Like, oh, it's in my hands to make sure this show goes on. And it's not that. I hope she can get away from that and trust in the producers, trust in her fellow castmates, and trust in the reality of the situation, which we want to see. And also, there's like an ego there. It's not Sandoval ego, but there's such a big ego there that I think she sometimes thinks she is the only person going through certain things. And so she doesn't sometimes extend the same courtesy as she wants extended to her with her life events. And Brittany's like, oh, the softer side of Lala. I always see the softer side of Lala. And then they do a flashback to when Lala called her Honey Boo Boo in one of the earlier episodes. And Brittany's like, don't call me Honey Boo Boo. But yeah, I think Lala is so nice in real life. Anyways, they say Brittany asks if Katie has ever come to Lala's defense because she says, I don't feel like anyone on the cast has ever done that for me. But like, it's just very interesting. Brittany says, it's always better to be the nice person if you ask me. And I think Brittany does live by that. Or tries to. Lala says, if I can make it easier to hang out and come around Schwartz with Joe, why? Like Lala says, hanging out with Joe, it's like, well, yeah, maybe I can make it easier to hang out and have her come around with Schwartz. But my thing is, why would you do that from any standpoint? Why do you want to make it easier to come out with Schwartz if you know that Schwartz is treating Joe inappropriately? Why do you want to make it easier for her? Like, that's the weird thing. Like, we're thinking about all these angles when it's like, okay, but think about the angle of the man of like, well, don't make it easier for Schwartz. Like, you can like protect Joe, but like don't encourage like Schwartz to be bringing her around. That's part of the problem. That's Joe's ultimate problem. At the end of the day, it's not the bullying. It's the fact that Schwartz doesn't want to be with her. The guys in their scene, I mean, Sandoval, Schwartz, and Jax in a scene, they talk about, did you know Tom and Katie were dating the same woman? And Jax just laughs. He's like, oh my God, that's crazy. But Schwartz says, like, in 2018, me and Katie, we bought a home together and we were happy as fuck, more or less. And now we're vying for the same underage chick. And Sandoval's like, small world, dude. In Katie's scene, she says she had been interested in Tori before Tom Schwartz was interested, and Ariana can vouch for that. And that's what, like I said earlier in the show, like, why date men at all? Like, just go for women. They're going to treat you better. Like, period. Go that way. Fuck the patriarchy completely. Like, for real. Schwartz said he had, Scheana says in her scene in the after show, she's like, Schwartz had a crush on Tori for a couple of years. And Scheana was like, but I thought it was weird at the age range. You know, I thought it was weird, but then I thought maybe. And then Katie, and I was like, wait, Schwartz has had a crush on her for a couple of years? Like when she was literally underage? But Scheana's like, let the best person win. And Katie says, listen, I can't do right in any people's eyes in regards to like Schwartz and Sandoval, my fashion style, anything. I do think it's interesting, the circle of people that they deal with and the new people get brought into the circle. Like Tori, like is like a periphery person because of Scheana. And then two people on the cast jump for her because that circle is so damn small and they probably protect themselves because the show is so out of hand and people wanting to get on it and people wanting to be friends with them and using them and doing everything that they can to be around them of like, yeah, I'll do this. I'll pay for this. I'll do that. Like, I mean, it's wild to watch that shit go down. Like, firsthand. And Jeremiah jokes with Katie, the producer that's doing the questions, and it's like, hey, that's why you hooked up with Joe, right, Katie? And Katie's like, okay, bud. We cut to Jax asking what happened to Katie's ex Satchel. And he was like, I just wanted to say the name Satchel. Ha ha, Satchel Maloney. Schwartz is like, I don't know anything about Katie's dating life besides her and Max had sex. But if she ever wanted to tell me about it, it wouldn't make me uncomfortable, which is okay, man. And then they ask, what was your relationship with Joe last year? And he's like, Joe came in like a bat out of heaven in my life. It felt right, but it had a limited shelf life, like a supernova. And he says they're all good right now. Everything's fine. And then, in DJ James Kennedy and Brock's scene, Brock's like, I always felt like she was in love with Schwartz. I felt like he was, like I felt like he was, leading her on, when she wanted to, like when he wanted to bang, he wanted to bang. And DJ James Kennedy is like, yeah, Schwartz, he just wants to make out with girls he meets at See You Next Tuesday. Come on. Brock was concerned about the amount of emotion he got when talking to Joe, but he wouldn't get that same emotion talking to Schwartz. And Schwartz says by the time cameras went up this season, him and Joe had kind of fizzled out, which is wild because I wish a follow-up question being like, but then why were you still sleeping with her? They talk about Tom's blonde hair, and Sandoval like, yeah, dude, you just got to pick certain clothes to make the hair look better, Lala says Joe is not going to have any more clients after that hairdo, but they all agree that Schwartz is a good-looking dude. I agree with that as well. James also once again points out he's proud. He's like, I was the first to notice Schwartz's hair was getting the weird color. I noticed it first. And I'm like, dude, you're doing it as well. So that was like kind of the highlights of, the after show. A couple more things. I know this has been so jam-packed. We had so much fun today, right? I was reading in my Facebook group. This was so interesting. Sydney from our Facebook group. I love Sydney. She was just talking about the vitriol Lala is getting this season. And she said, like, I've never felt the need to absolutely go in on her the way I'm seeing people online do, to the point where I'm like, whoa, is this Tom Sandoval? Is this Raquel? I'm scrolling through TikTok and I see an account with a larger following post a video and say, I hope Ocean gets cheated on for 9 months so you know how it feels, Lala. Excuse me, she writes. I know we've all been really invested in the show over the last year. I know a lot of people love Ariana and feel the need to protect her, but the amount of absolutely vile behavior going on towards Lala is insane. Like, are we any better than her? Here we are getting upset at her for not being a girl's girl or being a mean girl, but are we any better? I know Ariana's got this. We don't need to add to it. I know this, knowing we are leading into Real Housewives of New Jersey, an extremely toxic franchise with a toxic fan base. Oh my God, you can say that again. I was looking at New Jersey clips today, and I was like, just reading on Twitter, I was like, oh, I forgot. You sometimes forget like how the Jersey, it's scary as hell, that Jersey stuff. Like, I mean, it goes like, I don't know that people commented on it. Like, are you like, make a reality show about those people, because they are going hog wild for years now. But she says, when do us as fans stop? We don't know these people. We don't know their lives. We just see a very edited viewing 45 minutes a week for our enjoyment. What do you guys think? So I thought this was a great, interesting question. And listen, that, like, seeing some TikTokers saying, I hope Ocean gets cheated on for 9 months so you know how it feels, Lala. What the fuck? Go out and touch grass. Are you kidding me? No, like, listen, I comment on this stuff all the time. This is what I now do for a living, unfortunately, or fortunately. I actually really like it. But when I see things, I'm very passionate about it. I call it out. I've tried to always really be respectful about Lala, even with all of that. I try to always compliment her and, really try to think out positive things I can say, because I think Lala is going to be just fine. I do get frustrated, though. I think it is not fair. And yes, it's a highly edited 45 minutes, but it's not only that, Sydney. It's like, then we get her podcast. We go her doing the press tours. She does keep it going. She actually adds fuel to the fire. She's almost, sometimes I feel like, kind of trying to bring that behavior on. Like, it's almost like, I don't care if it's good or bad, just talk about me. Sometimes it feels that way. And I think she does have some master plan, but yeah, I think there is a point where you can go too far. Like, that's an insane comment to make. Like, my God, who writes that and then goes, that really is bizarre. But yeah, like, toxicity is rampant, especially in Bravo, or kind of a lot of fandoms, actually, you can break that down into. But it is, Lala does not do herself any favors in her own behavior. But we do comment on what the show shows us in this highly edited 45-minute version. But even like I said, like, it's so many other things besides just the show. If it was just the show, it'd be one thing, but it's everything else. But yeah, I believe, my God, there is a time where you do take it too far. And the funny thing is, if you watch Lala all these seasons, next season she'll have a completely different take. It will come back. And I think that's the fortunate or unfortunate thing about reality television that I always say. It lives and dies on us, second screen technology, us posting in Facebook groups, Reddit threads, all of this stuff. It adds this whole other level that really shoots these shows up into a level of success that they wouldn't have without it. It depends on us on our screens. And unfortunately, it is geared towards more negative things. And we are coming still on the heels, if not almost off the heels of Sandoval. So everybody is primed. But that's why I think everybody, or me particularly, if we're just talking about me, is very frustrated with Lala, because I'm like, we have a real opportunity here to really talk about what happened and talk about the behavior there. And I sometimes it's frustrating because I'm like, Lala, we got right there up to the precipice of like really blowing this thing open. And you're dialing it back and throwing attention every which way, but where it should be. So that can be really frustrating. And I think people obviously have no tact or a light touch, and they go for the jugular because they've seen Lala go for the jugular. So they think it's okay. But even besides that, there's just some really scary people out there. But I really do appreciate this question. And it's great though, because it's stuff I think about all the time. And like, okay, how can I be better? How can I do this or that? And it's interesting, right? It is interesting. It's something that I do constantly think about, but it's weird because I think we're all very passionate about this and we're primed. We're primed to do this. Like we're fed all of these, not just the show, the podcast, all of that stuff. But I thought this was so interesting and it's something I'm going to continue to think about. And I'm curious what you guys think about it as well, because I think this is just a really great question that's Sydney poised. I thought that was great. I'm just going to keep saying, I'm sorry, I'm looking for something else. So I'm like, I thought it was great. I just think it really is. Okay, 2 more audio clips. This is from Fancy Drew Bravo Archive on Twitter at @the_lower level. Talking about Andy Cohen on his Sirius radio show, which I'll be on Jeff Lewis tomorrow. So listen if you guys have Sirius. Remember when Andy said on the way to the reunion that he thought Brock and Lala were the voice of reason this season, and he got a lot of pushback. And here Andy is talking about that.
Brock are the now it is Vanderpump Rules night. And I gotta tell you, I said something very offhandedly on this broadcast about 3 weeks ago that has just been clogging up a Twitter timeline ever since, and not in a positive way.
I like when Andy uses his sexy voice. I've been getting my Twitter feed clogged up, and not in a good way.
And that is that I believe that I, again, kind of offhandedly said that Lala and Brock are the voices of reason this season. Well, people are doubting my sanity. They think I am, and they also just think I'm a horrible person for saying so. Let me just say, again, I'm enjoying Lala and Brock this season. That's all. Voices of Reason is, I guess y'all got me there because, it's a show in which there is maybe not a ton of reason. And maybe that's why we like it. But again, I just will say, I'll just say it in a different way. I'm really enjoying Lala and Brock this season.
Okay, so I think that's interesting. And that's something I think I said earlier as well, is that like, if you really love Lala this season, you're saying, and this is totally valid, you love somebody that stirs the pot, somebody that does like kind of create these dramas where there doesn't need to be. But this person like going over these lines that we normally wouldn't do in friend groups, right? Because normally we wouldn't do this. We wouldn't be meeting up with an ex's new situationship just to make them feel welcome. Normally we wouldn't do that. But in reality shows we do. So I sometimes think, and even with Brock, when he's like, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in on ladies' issues. If you really like that, it's not the voice of reason. It's just you like people that are trying to make things happen. And I think that's an interesting and different way that we look at it. Okay. And here is Scheana last night, poor Scheana, talking about Lala's frustration towards Ariana.
Talking about your best friend, Ari.
Oh, here we go.
St. Clair 69, great Twitter handle. Says, how do you feel about Lala talking about your best friend Ariana so poorly?
Here's the thing. I understand Lala's frustration, and I will say that on the contrary, Lala has said a lot of things about me recently that I really appreciate, and I think she is loyal as hell and she's an incredible friend. So I understand her frustration. And I think after the reunion and finale airs, everyone else will understand as well.
Okay, so that's, I mean, Andy asks a question from a Twitter user, and I like that it's like, you know, I understand Lala's frustration, but Lala has also said things about, but she said very nice things about me. So I love, Scheana's like, I understand Lala's frustration, but she has, you got to remember, she has said very nice things about me. But Scheana goes on to say, you will understand more of this in the finale and the reunion. And you're like, okay, so this is what I've been saying too. Is there a piece of this that we don't know yet? Is Lala holding the keys to the kingdom? Something that we don't know that is going to change our minds that will be like, oh shit, Lala, of course. But I will say, Scheana has a track record of some, like, I remember when everybody was asking her, I think, including me, of like, whoa, did you make out with Schwartz? Like, because it was in the trailer for the new season. And she's like, no, you'll see. And I'm like, we did see, and it seemed kind of weird. Oh, I love all these crazy kids. And I love you guys. We did it. What a clusterfuck of a show. This show and the actual Vanderpump Rules. I hope some of you guys had a good time. I hope you did. And I will I might not talk to you on Friday. I was going to try to do the Valley recap tonight to put it out on Friday because I'm doing that LASIK surgery tomorrow. I'm told I'm not going to be feeling my best, but hopefully I will. And the Valley recap will be out there at some point, up there at some point. But I hope you have the best Thursday ever. I really do hope you laughed at some of this. And yeah, listen to me on Jeff Lewis tomorrow morning. Thank you guys for being here. I don't know what I'm doing with my life, you guys. So thank you for being here. And I'll talk to you very, very soon.